the selections or trade them away in case you missed any of the action this week. You can catch up on our website with all of Paul Hamilton's pieces, WGR550.com. Coverage starts at 7 tonight. Coverage of the NHL Draft on WGR, brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Fiegel, Carr, and Joyce, your border attorneys, and by Dash's Market, serving Western New York for over 100 years. Shop the family of finer foods. In the World Cup, some results from yesterday. The U.S. men's national team fell to Turkey a 3-2 last night. Some other scores. Curaçao fell to the Ivory Coast 2-0. Ecuador beat Germany 2-1. The Netherlands beat Tunisia 3-1. Japan and Sweden drew 1-1, and Paraguay and Australia drew 0-0. Around the NFL, Brandon Ayuk said he would sign with the Commanders tomorrow if the 49ers cut him today on a social media video yesterday. DeAndre Hopkins said he would love to play for a competitor at this point in his career. In the Steelers, they signed cornerback Amari Harvey, formerly of the Broncos. You can join Sal Capaccio and Matt Bove today from 1 to 3. As it's always game day in Buffalo, broadcast live from Signals in Irving. It's Customer Appreciation Day, which means you save an extra 10 cents on gas, plus more discounts and prize giveaways. And stock up on your July 4th celebration essentials with a huge selection and no tax. See you today, 1 to 3 at Signals. You always win. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Did you stay up last night? No chance.
No
right?
chance. No chance. Got a long weekend ahead of us, so no chance.
We'll have Nick Mendola on today to talk World Cup, and I was texting with him last night about coming on, and he's like, early morning, I'll have the kids, but yeah, I should be able to. Fine, they were through, and not worried about the result. They got a lot of their guys in that they wanted to, like Pulisic, to see if he was good. He looked incredible from the extended highlight package that YouTube puts up. I mean, he was all over that thing. So, U.S. falls last night, but still, they will go on to play Bosnia on Wednesday at, I think it's in L.A., but 8 o'clock. And we'll talk some World Cup a little bit later on, so maybe you're waking up to that result. They lost in the final minute, by the way. Like, it was right at the end. They were tied. They outshot them, looked good. So, unfortunate they couldn't go for the undefeated streak in the group stage. But, again, on to the knockout round, and it was a game that didn't matter for either team. So, it is whatever. It's Jeremy and Joe. Jeremy is off today. He had 100 holes of golf yesterday. He'll be back next week, and we'll see what the Sabres look like by then. Feels like a big day. You're going tonight?
I am, yeah. I'll be reporting from the Bowl, which I'm excited about it.
The Bowl.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm excited for it to be in Buffalo. I've never experienced it. I was too young.
What is going to be in the Bowl? Usually that's where all the tables of GMs and scouts are, but they're not going to be there.
No, it's all decentralized. I'm not sure. I have no idea what I'm walking into. Yeah, people have tickets for this. I don't know where they're sitting, truthfully.
Well, I mean, definitely in the stands, but then like I'm wondering, if there'll be tickets. Like, will they have, like at a concert?
Yeah, like a floor seating thing.
Yeah, will they have, is there floor seating, right, for the draft? Or is that maybe where the prospects will sit?
Maybe.
Like a graduation, kind of. You get up, they call your name, and maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like. They had it decentralized in Vegas maybe a couple of years ago, or maybe that was the last centralized draft at the Sphere. I think that might
have been the last one, yeah.
The last centralized draft. So maybe we'll try to find what that'll look like tonight. For those that are attending, I think it'll be a pretty cool event to go to. And, we're splitting season tickets as a group, and it didn't really enter into my mind at all. Like, oh, wait, we could get tickets for this until yesterday. Because a week ago, it was to me like, all right, like draft being here is cool, and we'll see, if they, trade the pick. But otherwise, you're probably waiting a while because they're picking 27th, and we'll see how it goes. But now, yesterday, I texted our group chat like, we didn't claim tickets, did we? Like, no, we didn't. Like, because it's as good a draft as you could ask to go to. Like,
it got juicy this week.
Yeah, like I think Sabre fans are maybe even talking about going out for this tonight, and I don't think that might have been happening if they had even just had the 20th pick, but instead of even 27th, which is where they were a week ago, right around this time when Kesselring was traded. Now that they have 4 and 20, and there is all this expectation that they're going to do something and do something big. I mean, it really sounds like right now the Sabres are in on everything. That is Hellebuck. That is Trocheck. That is Nyes. Maybe the only thing you might consider them not to be in on is Jason Robertson, and I want to get to that in a moment, but we don't even know that. They could be in on Jason Robertson. But yesterday, Pierre LeBrun on Insider Trading on TSN said that right now teams around the league do not believe the Sabres are going to pick 4th, that they are going to end up trading that pick. And I kind of feel like the most likely idea is Nyes. That is kind of what I'm zeroing in on, not just for what I would want them to do, but if I had to guess what they're going to do tonight, I think I might want to put my chips down on that. And that's from some of the reports. There was one about, there's so many at this point, I'm trying to remember, was it Dreger? One that was about Hellebuck, and that the Sabres are in on that, and that there has even been discussion about the number 4 pick, but that they're in on other things. So, and that might take precedent over the Hellebuck idea. Like, okay, well, what would that be? And I don't know. I feel like because he is such a fit to replace the guy you just lost in Alex Tuck, but he is 7 years younger and will make $3 million less per year, roughly, I just feel like that would be the thing I'd want to put my chips down on. But what makes tonight so exciting, even in a different way than these drafts in the past decade where the Sabres have picked a top guy right at the beginning of the draft, is there is uncertainty about tonight's draft. There is drama about tonight's draft. 2015 was great. Like, the draft night, and I remember being at the arena for the watch party that they had. And that ended up being a great night because not just that they drafted Eichel. We all knew they were drafting Eichel the millisecond after that lottery card came up with Edmonton on it. We all knew they were drafting Jack Eichel. But they also traded for O'Reilly moments before that draft began, and that moment in the arena and Bettman announcing that trade, that was pretty cool, because now it's like I traded for Leonard earlier in the day. Not that many people were that excited about that. And then it's, okay, Eichel is here, and now I'm getting O'Reilly on top of that. Like, that night ended up being pretty cool. You had the Dahlin draft, which, again, no drama. Cool, great, loved having him, still love having him. But draft night was just, we were just going to watch him walk up the stage because we haven't seen it yet, but we know it's going to happen. No real drama. Maybe, actually, if I go out of order here, the last time a Sabres draft had this drama, which is the combo, I think, of you are at the top of the draft and you don't know going in who they're going to take. 2014 would fit that. Again, I'm at the arena And I remember, might have been Andrew Peters, Craig Hervé, were walking around the arena floor and had people like writing down what they thought the Sabres were going to do. Like, it was not known, I think, what they were going to do, because Ekblad was going to go 1, and then it was, all right, what's happening after that? Are they going to pick Reinhart? Are they going to pick Draisaitl? Are they going to pick Bennett? Like, all of those names were possibilities for them. And that was the second overall pick. So maybe that's the last time you had something like this, but the added factor of the team being good and considering all these possibilities for trade, so many big names on the market, more than I can remember in an offseason. Big names that are being talked about in the trade mill. That potential to move the pick in the expectation that other teams have right now that they're going to trade the pick, I think makes tonight the most exciting NHL draft going in that I can remember.
For sure. Doesn't it make you kind of wish it was centralized a little bit?
It does, yeah.
Because then you get some like in-arena drama rather than in your war room drama.
Right. I mean, the guys that are covering the team, I know like Paul and like Joe Yerdon and others, like they have to make a decision on do I go down to the I think most are going down to the stadium where the war room is, where Yarmo is, and they'll do media there too. But the draft is 15, 20 minutes away, and it's all happening down at the arena. Like, where would I want to be? I don't know. Like, I think you can make a case for either, but just have it all in one place. Just have it all in one place. The teams don't even talk like they like that. Like, who is this for? Decentralized. Because I feel like anytime I hear a GM or a coach, more so a GM, talk about what they like for the draft, nobody is talking up decentralized draft that I've heard. So I think it's a little weird that they're doing it this way, and I might expect they're going to go back to it at some point. But yeah, the one thing you might not get is if you're at the draft looking around and like, okay, which GM? Oh, Yarmo's getting up. Oh, he's walking over to the Dallas table. Okay, what's that? Is that Robertson? Like that tweet, even if you're not there, will be missed for sure. I always looked forward to, oh, this GM's on the phone, and so is this one. Are they talking to each other? Is it an eyes trade? We won't get that tonight. But they might make a trade anyway. I kind of am going into tonight expecting that they are going to do something big. I don't know, though, that the big move is going to be Jason Robertson. So overnight, if you're waking up to this, there was some big news in the league. Robertson, who is an amazing player, like we're talking a guy that I think will score 50 goals at least once in his career and has come close. Last year scored 45, scored 46 one year, 41 another, 109 points a few years back, 96 points last year. Like we were talking, really good two-way player too, like one of the best wingers in the league. And he and the Stars have just been unable to hammer out a new deal. The Stars have been reportedly around $12 million a year, which is what Mikko Rantanen makes, and Robertson wants above $14 million per year, which I think in the rising cap world is perfectly fair for him. $14 million per year, Dallas can't do that. They don't have the space to do it. They would have such a tough time figuring that out. If they really shedded a bunch, like they could make it work, but it doesn't sound like they're going to do that. They would be willing to do it for up to 12, but once you get above 14, I think it sounds like they would have some problems. So he's probably he's going to go. Where is an excellent question. And I would have loved dreaming about him for the Sabres. I think he is, right now in a vacuum, the best player you could get your hands on this offseason. If you wanted to trade the fourth pick in a package and get an elite player back, this would be the guy I would choose. But I don't think it's probably likely to expect the Sabres to be in on him right now. Could be wrong. Hope I'm wrong. But overnight, the Stars gave Robertson permission to talk to the Seattle Kraken. Seattle it's been known about them going back to the deadline. Jason Botterill, who is probably under some pressure to make the playoffs this year and become a winner right now, or he might be out of a job. Jason Botterill has been desperately trying to find a star player. They tried to trade for Artemi Panarin at the trade deadline. He didn't want to go there. By the way, Seattle, no tax state for these guys. So I saw this point made on Twitter last night. Like, yes, the taxes do matter, but you do have to be a good team. Because as Seattle's proving right now, there's no state income tax in Seattle, and they can't get anybody to come there. So Panarin didn't want to go there. There were all the reports about Tuck and that they would be willing to give him above $11 million per year. And last night, Seattle basically, I guess, agrees to a deal with the Stars in one that was going to include multiple first-round picks, at least. And they talked to Robertson and offer him 8 years, $15 million per year.
Wow.
Without the state income tax and getting the 8th year, $15 million per year, making him one of the highest paid players in the National Hockey League. And what did Jason Robertson say? No, thank you. No, thank you. There also was a report last night that the Blues were hunting Robertson, and Robertson has given the Blues an indication, I don't want to sign in St. Louis. So if it was just Seattle, I might think he is just not into that organization, doesn't think they're going to be successful. It's not about where it is. It's not about the money. He just doesn't want to go to the Kraken. But once you throw the Blues into it, not that the Blues are right now set up to win the Stanley Cup, but, you know, that's a good market, good fan base, good organization, and good enough team. Like, they just barely missed the playoffs last year. They're keeping Robert Thomas and Colton Parayko, according to, reports from yesterday. So many reports from yesterday. It's impossible to keep track of all of them, but we're trying. He doesn't want to go to St. Louis either. Does he have a specific destination in mind? It's kind of what I'm thinking. He wants a couple of things. He wants more than $14 million per year. I don't think he'll have any trouble finding that, but he's from California. Should I just expect that he wants to go to the Kings or the Ducks or the Sharks? You got 3 teams out there that would one of them be willing to give him that money? I feel like there's a pretty good chance of that. San Jose might be the team. Maybe that is the team. San Jose, and they could be big today. They pick second, and a lot of smoke about them trading the pick that goes back to a couple days ago. There's been more of a, they'll just sit there and draft a guy. But San Jose has an elite number 1 center in Macklin Celebrini that Robertson could play with. They have $46 million in cap space, so they can afford to give him $15 million per year. And they have the assets to get it done, and they're California, and he's from California. So I don't know that has to be true, though, that he has to go home. Maybe he just didn't like the Blues or this Kraken. Maybe he made a rule, I'll only go to a team that made the playoffs last year. Like, I don't know. I don't know what his motivation is beyond he wants more than $14 million per year. But,
or he's in a variation of a Team USA group chat, and it's I want Florida. So
I mean, they can't do everything.
No, they can't. They can't. But
if they even entering Florida's name in the lexicon, I'm mad about what you just did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, he's probably in the USA group chat, right?
Yeah.
Listen, they won the gold medal, so it ended up being perfectly fine. Caulfield was one thing. Robertson not making the team was offensive.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It was unbelievable. And listen, when you win, you get to say you were right about everything, right? You made no mistakes. You won the gold medal. Congratulations. It was great. I loved it. But Robertson was absolutely one of the best 12 forwards on that team. He was probably one of the best 6 forwards on that team. But whatever. He's a great player. Great, great player. If I'm the Sabres, I'm in on it. I'm calling. But maybe I got an answer already. Maybe it's No, he doesn't want to go to Seattle. He doesn't want to go to St. Louis. He's got a couple of teams in mind. Don't waste your time. Maybe one reason to expect that they're not in on him is we're hearing about the other guys. We're hearing about them being in discussions with Toronto about Nyes and with Winnipeg about Connor Hellebuck and the Rangers with Trocheck. Like, we are hearing about this stuff. And I've seen nothing from anybody on any level that ties the Sabres to Robertson. So he might be the one guy that's not worth thinking about going into tonight. But listen, there are a lot of other names. There are not a lot of other big ideas. And I'm excited about tonight because I feel like I want to trust what LeBron said and what the expectation is around the league, that they are not going to pick fourth. I think I'm going into tonight believing they're not going to pick fourth. And that means they're getting a great player tonight. Someone that helps you now. And that's exciting. I guess I'm also starting to fall in love with a couple of the prospects, though. So I'm kind of balancing that because I'd love for them to get a Nyes tonight or Hellebuck. I'd prefer the fourth pick isn't in on Hellebuck, but maybe it would be. But some of the guys, Viggo Bjork, he's a Benson clone. Everything I look at, every person I talk to, we talked to Chris Peters yesterday from Flow Hockey, and on Locked On Sabres, I talked to Sebastian High of Locked On NHL Prospects. Both guys basically said the same thing, like he's Benson. He's Benson, but he's a center. And that does mean I'd be getting another small forward. But, sorry, you tell me I can get another Zach Benson. I guess he's not as violent as Benson. That also was said. Sebastian said that yesterday. He's like Benson, just a little less violent than Benson is. But still, who wouldn't want another one of that? Who wouldn't want another Benson?
I mean, I'd sign up immediately for another Benson.
So, that's a cool idea. Chase Reed might be just the fits like a glove to what the Sabres system is with their blue liners. Go get in the play. Move up and down the ice. Be active. The guy's dynamic and big and can score and can pass and fast, just all of it. And that's not helping me now. I mean, he's going to Michigan State for at least a year. But I'm falling for a couple of these prospects. But I think the goal tonight should be not to draft one of them. It should be, let me try to win the cup this season. And who is going to help me do that? Matthew Nyes will help you do that. Connor Hellebuck will help you do that. If you can get him to say yes, Jason Robertson would do that. Not holding my breath on that.
No.
But Dylan Larkin would be that. That's another name I would say I've not seen anywhere connecting Buffalo and Larkin. So maybe that's a second big name that you shouldn't spend a lot of time thinking about. But there are enough out there that the Sabres could acquire tonight, where tonight should be an awesome night. I think it should be the best draft that we've had in more than a decade, including the ones where they picked at the top, because of the drama and the uncertainty of nobody knows what they'll actually do tonight.
Yeah.
We don't know if they sit at the pick, who they'll take. We don't know if they trade the pick, who they'll trade it for.
And they're picking high, and they're good.
And they're good.
They're not bad.
And they're high. Yeah. So tonight will be pretty cool. 803-0550 is the phone number. If you have a preference, maybe it's sit and take the pick. Maybe it's take a specific prospect. If it is a certain trade, if it's just a trade in general, hey, I'll trade it for anybody. That is, of the caliber of player we're talking. Don't trade the pick for Vinny Trocheck, please. I don't think they would. Let me know what you think. Give me a call, 803-0550. Pick up the phone. We'll get you right on. And we got a couple of free hours here until 8 o'clock. Paul's going to join the show at 8. We'll talk with Mike Moriel later on at 9. NHL.com draft writer. He has done a couple of mock drafts, and he has a different name for the Sabres than I've seen almost anybody else have. So Mike Moriel at 9. We'll talk with him about the prospects. But we got a couple hours here, wide open for you. Pick it up. Give me a call. Let me know what you want from the Sabres tonight, because you could pick from, there's a there's a smorgasbord of things that you could pick from going into tonight at 7, which, by the way, we will have coverage tonight here on WGR. Brian Koziel, Paul, Brayton Wilson, Joe Cali, a lot of the guys involved, as the draft being here in Buffalo, of course, helps us with that too. That's been convenient. Coverage of the NHL Draft and WGR brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Fiegel, Carr & Joyce, your border attorneys, and by Dash's Market. Serving Western New York for over 100 years. Shop the family of finer foods. Your call's next here on WGR.
It's draft day in the NHL. The Sabres, they have the 4th and 20th picks in the first round. We'll see if they make the selections or trade them away. In case you missed any of the action from this week, you can catch up on our website with all of Paul Hamilton's pieces, WGR550.com. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. tonight. Coverage of the NHL Draft on WGR brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's Your Outlet? By Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and by Dash's Market. Serving Western New York for over 100 years. Shop the family of finer foods. In the World Cup, the U.S. men's national team fell to Turkey 3-2 last night. Some other scores from yesterday. Curaçao fell to the Ivory Coast 2-0. Ecuador beat Germany 2-1. The Netherlands beat Tunisia 3-1. Japan and Sweden, they drew 1-1. And Paraguay and Australia drew 0-0. Around the NFL, Brandon Ayuk said he would sign with the Commanders tomorrow if the 49ers cut him today on a social media video yesterday. DeAndre Hopkins said he'd love to play for a competitor at this point in his career. And the Steelers, they signed cornerback Amari Harvey, formerly of the Broncos. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
I think if you're going to extend yourself this summer, you want a slam dunk player, especially a slam dunk player who you're not going to pay for past performance. And that's why Robertson is so alluring to me. He's young. He fits well within this broader core, a freakish goal scorer from the wing, which is what the Sabres sorely need. I would put the Sabres on the short list of most logical landing spots for him as a player. And then from the Sabres perspective, I mean, I think he's at the top of the list of until you say no and you sign and trade with someone else or you move him elsewhere, I'm not going to let you go without making our best and final.
Travis Yost, TSN, yesterday on the Extra Point Show. I am down with that. I mean, Robertson is incredible, but what do I got to do for him to come here? Nothing wrong with here. Maybe the Sabres outrank Seattle and St. Louis, two teams that it seems like he said no to. Seattle, he definitely said no to on a $15 million per year deal. Do I get him if I make him the highest paid forward in the NHL? Kaprizov, Kaprizov is not much better if you even consider him to be better. And Minnesota signed him $17 million per year. If you want to get that's almost flirting with let's get stupid territory, but I just wonder what it would cost. If it's only going to cost me $14-15 million, I mean only, I'm into that. But I wonder how much above that you might have to go if I think he might want to go to California. So if I'm gonna sway him from not doing that, then I probably need to go crazy with an offer. 8030550. Got to pull up. What do you want from tonight out of the 4th overall pick? 20 is there too, and maybe they trade that for Trocheck. Maybe they trade that for something else, but that is also on the table. Let's start with Larry in South Florida. Morning, Larry.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Unfortunately, I was telling Joe Kelly that I didn't sleep much last night, watching all the talk shows, listening to you guys this morning, and I watched your Lockdown Sabres last night with Sebastian High. And when I first saw his picture, I was like, oh, Joe's got his little brother on with him. Man,
yeah.
How young is that guy? He is so knowledgeable. It's crazy. How old is that guy, Joe?
He's in his 20s, mid-20s.
Unbelievable,
mid-20s.
unbelievable knowledge base with that young man. But the more I've been thinking about it, I would keep the pick and get that defenseman Reed and again, I think I said this yesterday, this is a no-brainer for Toronto. I would trade Knies for our number 4 pick because look at what Toronto gets. You got number 1, you're going to get McKenna. And then number 4, you can get Reed or the other defenseman and start building with just unbelievable young talent around the talent they already have now. So for Toronto, it's a no-brainer. For us, it's a no-brainer. He's 23. He's big. He's powerful. He's fast. He can score. And he's got a contract that's manageable. Yeah, I love the Robinson idea, but I don't want to pay him 15, 16, 17 million. And plus, he's a bit older than Nyes. And then what are you going to do with Thompson? Like, Thompson's what, 7.5 million? There's no way he's going to set for that because Thompson's going to want more money. And eventually, our young talent that we're given 6-7 million now, they're going to want 12, 14, and it's going to be rough. So if I'm Buffalo, I keep the pick and I pick Reed or one of those other guys. I did like what you said about Bork, or I get Matthew Nyes. Other than that, I won't do it for it's not my choice, but I wouldn't do it for Hellebuck, and I really wouldn't do it anywhere else. And Nyes, a nice young talent, that contract I love, and I'd love your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thanks, Larry, for the call. Yeah, by the way, Tage can't do anything about more money. Like, he's just stuck at $7.1 million per year, which is going to be one of the biggest underpays in hockey for the next 4 more years. I mean, Thompson makes less than Zach Benson does now.
That's insane to think about.
Right? It's crazy. Man, I mean, that is the risk of a player. It's kind of why my reaction to the Benson deal, because I often do like to look at these things from the player perspective, not just the team perspective. What does the player want? What should the player want? Attacking it from that angle, like, it's great for the Sabres that they signed Benson. Amazing. $7.5 million per year. If I were Zach Benson, or I were Zach Benson's agent, I would have been pleading with him. Sign a bridge deal. Tell them I'm not signing for 7 years. I'm signing for 2, and my numbers are going to go up. The cap is going to go up, and I'm going to be a $11 million hockey player in a couple of years when, right, the guys like Robertson are going to be making $18 million by then. That's why it's such a good deal for the Sabres. That's why Thompson is such a good deal for the Sabres. Thompson, when he signed, it was after 1 good year, 38 goals, and he had developed into something, at least an NHL player. And it was, let me lock this in right now. $7.1 million for the long haul. I'm in. And at the time, might have seemed like a good deal for him. Like, all right, good. I'm settled. But if he hadn't done that, and he had signed a bridge deal or something shorter, then he goes out and has 47 goals, and he's, a $10 million a year player back then, and maybe even more if it was a shorter-term deal coming up. But whatever. It's good for the Sabres. The Sabres are, right now, loaded with forwards that aren't that expensive. I wonder, like, Norris is their highest-paid forward at $7.9 million per year. I wonder if how many teams in the league don't have an $8 million a year forward. There would be some. Like, Anaheim, I'm already, like, down the list, like, in alphabetical order. The first team is Anaheim. Anaheim doesn't have an $8 million forward. But the next couple of teams look like they do. I think the Sabres shouldn't be wary of Thompson being upset that they go and pay somebody way more than he makes. I mean, he wanted them to keep Tuck, and he knew what Tuck wanted or what it would have cost. Tuck said his goodbye yesterday on Instagram, and who's like the first guy in there with the crying emoji? It's Tage.
Yeah.
Tage's account. So, and Tuck would have gotten more than $3 million per year more than Tage got, and he wanted them to keep him. So I don't think he will be upset or anything if they brought in Jason Robertson and he makes double. Crazy as that is, like, yeah, double. He will make double on his next contract what Tage Thompson does. I like that player a lot. And, Nyes, Larry brings up, I still feel like is the most likely guy. And tonight, you're going to have Toronto fans in the building. You're going to have Buffalo fans in the building. And, man, if a trade like that is announced on the stage, can't wait to see, like, what the reaction would be. Like, would both fan bases cheer?
I feel like they might.
Would Toronto not? Toronto should be feeling like, why am I trading Matthew Nyes?
Yeah, they might be a little upset about it.
Yeah.
But that could be some in-arena drama in a decentralized fashion. So it'll give you a little taste of it if you're there.
Yeah. And lastly, before we get to Dylan here, on Robertson making $15 million per year, even $16 million per year, if that's what it ends up going for, I'm just not. Same as like what I said with Tuck earlier in the week. I'm just not afraid of these big salaries. The way the cap is going up, I'm not afraid of them. Let's go to Dylan in Long Island. Hey, Dylan.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Sure thing.
So I agree kind of with the previous call. I think using 4 for Nyes would be probably the most ideal scenario, realistically. I wouldn't use a 4 on Hellebuck. Maybe 20 and change if you want Hellebuck that badly.
Mm-hmm.
I also wouldn't be overly mad if we pick 4, but then I would want 20 to be used. But I also, like you said, the more you look at the prospects, I'm not that angry at taking a prospect or a draft pick at 4 either. Mm-hmm. You're a young team. You're going to have people develop. You're going to hopefully be good for a while and give that prospect time to develop and then continue this good hockey team that you have. But at the same time, I would love a win now. I think Matt Nyes makes a lot of sense. And then in terms of Robertson, I'm not up to date in the nuances of offer sheeting and like the let's get stupid territory. Mm-hmm. One day I will love to see an offer sheet just get used. I feel like maybe it should happen more often. I know it's going to cost 4 firsts and then his contract. But in a let's get stupid scenario, would love an offer sheet. I'd love to have him on my team. I don't know if he has to then agree to terms with us or if the offer sheet locks in either Dallas or us. But I would just love to eventually see one of them used. It'd be really fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Dylan. The offer sheet idea with Robertson is why I think the Stars are trying to get the trade done now and before the draft. Because he's going to get offer sheeted if they do not trade him and do not sign him. That I feel like that you can bank on, you can count on. He's too good a player. Someone will do it. And Robertson might feel like, yeah, why do I need to sign in Seattle in this trade that you're doing? Why do I need to sign in St. Louis? Like, Dallas, I wonder if they're in a spot. Because maybe they don't want to trade with the team he wants to go to. Or maybe the team that thinks he'll come there is thinking, I don't need to trade to Dallas. I just need to wait Dallas out and get to July 1st, and then I'm going to sign him to the offer sheet that they can't afford. And you know what? I'd rather trade 4 late first-round picks than whatever Dallas is trying to get out of it. Could Buffalo be the offer sheet team? He'd have to sign here. He'd have to be willing to sign the offer sheet here. And listen, if he was willing to, and the Stars didn't have a deal in place by next week, and he's still out there, yeah, I'd give up 4 first-round picks to get him. Let's go to Jordan in Syracuse. Hey, Jordan.
Hey, good morning, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. Quick question for you guys. So Joe, I want to put you kind of in Yarmo's seat. It's tonight. You're sitting in the situation room. You got to make moves. You got the 4th pick. It sounds like you might think Nyes is based on how you've been talking the past couple of days, but I'm curious, if you have that 4th pick and you're on the clock and you want to flip it, who, given our cap situation and some of the other pieces that we could move asset-wise, who do you think is most likely to want to come to Buffalo and for us to be able to land that individual? And then a follow-up question to that is, if we land that individual you're thinking, are we better with him than we would have been with Tuck if we just signed Tuck? That's my question for you guys. And then just kind of second, smaller piece is, Hellebuck, how big of a force multiplier do you think he is if we bring him in with maybe a couple assets and some money? Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jordan, for the call. If they traded for Hellebuck today, I think they're an instant Stanley Cup contender. I think they're a team that could beat Florida in a playoff series. So I think that's valuable. I'm on the fence, and I've kind of been leaning towards he's not worth the 4th overall pick. Nyes, though, like, if that was the trade, and I think he's the answer to your question. Like, I'm not sure Robertson would want to come here right now, and it doesn't sound like Larkin might want to come here right now. He's also best friends with Eichel, and I don't know if that might apply to why Larkin doesn't have the Sabres on his list that we've seen. But Nyes, like if I'm trying to figure out who would want to come here and be like happy to, one, it doesn't matter, I guess, to some extent if he is, because he doesn't have any trade protection. Right now, Nyes has nothing in the way of a no movement clause or no trade clause until 2030. So he goes wherever they trade him. But also, yeah, I do believe he would probably be happy to come here. One, he's not moving that far from where he is right now. And two, and maybe this friendship, I'm putting a lot of heavy lifting on this friendship, but he's been friends with Josh Doan since they were kids. So he's got a guy on the team that he knows well. I don't know if he knows Tage well. They're both from Phoenix. Age-wise, they're a little bit off. But, yeah, I feel like he would be the one. And I think Nyes would come in and probably give you what Tuck just gave you. I don't think you're probably improving off Tuck. There's some differences in their games. Nyes is more physical. Tuck, though, is a better goal scorer. So, on the overall, I feel like you're getting a player that's about as good as the guy you just lost. But he's 7 years younger. And he's $3 million cheaper. So, yeah, on the ice, I feel like it might be a wash for the short term. But I'm getting a guy that's, going to do this for me for a lot longer than Tuck probably was going to. And I can do more things with my cap because he only makes $7.75 million per year, which another one of these guys, like, why did you sign that contract? 803-0550 is the phone number. If you're on hold, stay there. We'll get you when we come back. Rolling through your phone calls. What do you want to see them do with the fourth pick tonight, 7 o'clock? The NHL Draft will have coverage here on WGR all throughout the day. Coverage presented by Outlet Liquor when you need to stock up. It's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and by Dash's Market, serving Western New York. For over 100 years, shop the family of finer foods. There's nothing cryptic about what he's doing. These are not cryptic messages. He's telling you, I want to go to the Commanders. That's not cryptic. That became a buzzword, cryptic, for these like social media posts.
The receiver, any receiver tweet. I mean, some of them are actually
All right.
cryptic, but
Yeah, like Diggs, some of them are cryptic, like where you didn't really know what he was going to mean. Everyone knows what Brandon Ayuk means.
yeah, he's kind of telling you right into the camera what he means.
100%. I think he probably ends up in Washington. I mean, I don't know what the Niners are doing with him. Like, do they just maybe they're just being bitter?
The report was if they didn't trade him,
Yeah.
they were going to release him, and they haven't released him yet.
Right.
So I don't know what's going on there.
And I can't imagine anything with his trade value is going well recently. So
no.
wouldn't expect that. More of your phone calls when you come back. George, stay on hold. If you do, we'll get to you first up. And we got open phone lines for you. What should they do with the 4th pick tonight? 7 o'clock draft here in Buffalo. 803-0550 is the phone number. Joe DiBiase here on Jeremy and Joe. This is WGR.
It's draft day in the NHL. The Sabres have the 4th and 20th picks in the first round. We'll see if they make the selections or trade them away. In case you missed any of the action from this week, you can catch up on our website with all of Paul Hamilton's pieces, WGR550.com. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. tonight. Coverage of the NHL draft on WGR, brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Fiegel, Carr, and Joyce, your border attorneys, and by Dash's Market, serving Western New York for over 100 years. Shop the family of finer foods. In the World Cup, the U.S. men's national team fell to Turkey 3-2 last night. Some other scores from yesterday: Ecuador beat Germany 2-1. The Netherlands beat Tunisia 3-1. Japan and Sweden drew 1-1, and Paraguay and Australia, they drew 0-0. Around the NFL, ESPN's Adam Schefter says it's more likely than not free agent defensive end Joey Bosa has played his last NFL snap. Brandon Ayuk said he would sign with the Commanders tomorrow. The 49ers cut him on his social media video. DeAndre Hopkins said he would love to play for a competitor at this point in his career. And the Steelers, they signed cornerback Amari Harvey, formerly of the Broncos. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
We have a lot of faith in the group. I think that we talked to all of them in the 3 goalie rotation. No objection to it. They liked it. They felt that they had a great relationship. That's now we're thinking of just doing the same thing, but it's like any position, whether it's D, forward, goaltenders, we're always looking to improve. If there's something that we think that can improve our goaltending, we'll do that.
Jarmo Kekalainen. I think that goalie answer makes it sound like they are perfectly willing to part with some assets to get Connor Hellebuck. What those assets are, I don't want to believe that it includes the 4th overall pick, but there is some to that. There's some rumoring and reporting that maybe 4 could be involved. We'll get to that in just a moment. Good morning, it's Jeremy and Joe. Jeremy's off this morning. It's a beautiful day out. Maybe you're going down to the arena a little bit later on and looking to enjoy this draft. I think it's the best draft to attend if you're a Sabres fan in forever because of everything that goes into it. They're good. They have the 4th pick, and everybody thinks they're going to make a trade. Pierre LeBrun said yesterday teams around the league believe that the Sabres are not going to pick 4th. Paul coming up at 8. Wide open hour for you. What should they do with pick number 4? And I've been on the record that I would like to see them trade it for a top level player, and there are going to be very few of those. If you could get your hands on Jason Robertson, he would be one of those players. Matthew Nyes is a guy that, like Hellebuck, kind of on the fence on both. I lean yes on Nyes and no on Hellebuck. And there are a lot of prospects right now, Vigo Bjork and Chase Reed would be the top 2 for me that sound like excellent ideas. And I know I got to wait for them, and that's not necessarily ideal, but I feel like both of those guys at least would be great players for you down the road. 803-0550 is the phone number. George in Buffalo has a draft idea. What's up, George?
Hey, good morning. So what I would like to see them do, and then what I think they'll do, what I would like them to do is take 4 and 1, either Kleber or Merca, and get up to 2 to take Stenberg or McKenna if he falls for some weird reason. And what I think they'll do is I think they'll take that Vigo Bjork kid because he seems a little bit more like a Benson type, and nothing wrong with having 2 rats on your team. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, George, for the call. I don't know where San Jose stands today. They are a wild card team. I mean, they trade William Eklund, so everybody's reaction is, yeah, they are going to just sit there now and draft Stenberg. So they could do that, or are they the Robertson team? Or if they're that, then 2 is off the table. Because 2 suddenly is Dallas's, and I don't know if you're making a trade with them. But I think trading up to 2 for that price might depend on which one of those guys it is. Mertka probably would be the guy that it takes. I mean, Kleber, second-round guy, Michigan State last year, I believe. Prospect defenseman. Like, he's in the Sabres system. Adam Kleber, Minnesota Duluth for him. I don't know that he has the value to go up to 2. I mean, Mertka has interest around the league. It's why he has been thrown into all of these trades. That's why the Sabres did trade him to get Colton Parayko before he said no, because St. Louis wanted him, and he was a top 10 pick for a reason, and there's nothing that happened in his first year of development to me that would have him be losing value. So, yeah, could that get you to 2? I think that it probably could. And is Stenberg worth that over the guys you would pick at 4? One of the appeals with him that we've talked about is he is more likely to step right into the league. Played against men last year in Sweden, did well doing it, and you could probably project him into an NHL lineup immediately. And any of the other guys beyond that, that's going to be more of a stretch. Chase Reed playing for the Sabres this year is a stretch. Viggo Bjork doing it this year at 5'9" is a stretch. But Stenberg doing it probably is you're gonna have a really good chance of that happening. So, yeah, I'm not against that idea at all. The trade up idea is there. San Jose, though, again, like I'm looking right now, like what is the latest for them? And I think a lot of it is just they're going to sit and make the pick at number 2. Pierre LeBrun yesterday did say about Hellebuck that the Sabres are flirting with using number 4 on Hellebuck or Nyes, among others. He mentioned 3 teams that are in on Hellebuck: Florida, Buffalo, and Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Carolina won the Cup, and there was a story yesterday that they are willing to part with a pretty good package, but the first-round pick they're including is a late first-round pick. If those are the 2 teams that I'm bidding against, and it's only those 2, I mean, maybe there are more, but those are just the 3 teams that LeBron is mentioning, then what do I got to do to outbid them to get Hellebuck? Because I love the Hellebuck idea. I just don't think I want to trade 4 for it.
How upset would you be if they did do that? Like, think
4
tomorrow. Like, would it be?
It would be one of those where, like, right now, I would tell you I wouldn't do it, and tomorrow morning, I'd be real excited.
I'd be okay with it. I think where I'm at.
Get me to opening night. Let's go win the Cup. We got the best goalie in the world. Yeah, it'd be exciting. It would absolutely be exciting. Would it be smart? Would it be good value? I think you're overpaying.
Yeah.
I want the player, though, and I want the player a lot. And maybe you could talk me into 4 if they're throwing something else in along the way. I'm not sure.
Devin Levi?
Well, if Levi's going to Winnipeg and then Winnipeg's sending something back that I can use.
Beef it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's an idea. Right, because Winnipeg's going to want a goalie back. But to me, that's got to be Luukkonen.
It could be Luukkonen. Yeah, Luukkonen, yeah.
So if 4 is involved and Luukkonen is involved, I better be getting something back.
Yeah,
so,
more.
If there's more to the trade, then I could get there. But I don't know that it takes 4. I mean, if those are the 3 bidders, the 3 biggest bidders, where does Carolina pick? Well, Carolina just won the Stanley Cup, so they are at the very, very end of the first round, 31. Ottawa's at 32 because they had to forfeit their pick, and then they got it back, but they put it at the end of the first round. So Carolina is pick number 31. So I can beat that with 20, and I have young players that I can beat Carolina with. Ostlund, Kulik, Helen Hughes, if you really want to overpay. If you even consider him to be more valuable than the other 2. Hellebuck, though, I don't feel like it should take the 4th pick. 20 and something else. When the other team in it is Florida, who continues to get talked about as the team that Hellebuck might want to go to, and they're trying to figure out ways to get it done and squeezing Winnipeg the same way that they might have done with Ottawa. And they don't have a first-round pick.
No, they don't.
This year or next year or the following year. I think maybe even the following year after that. Like, they do not have picks. And unless they want to part with Anton Lundell, which all indications are they have no interest in doing, I can outbid them. Like, the Sabres having the best offer on the table for Connor Hellebuck, to me, is a very good probability, even if they don't include the fourth pick. If they include the fourth pick, then I think it all comes down to just Hellebuck willing to move his no-movement clause for here. If the answer is yes, then I think he's a Buffalo Sabre.
Well, Tage sat next to him at dinner. So, I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know, right?
That happened at the Olympics. You got a connection. You got a connection point.
Got a group chat. Maybe.
So, yeah, like, to your question, that's a good one. Like, if 4 was the deal, 4 for Hellebuck, I think a lot of people would really struggle with that. It would be pulling you in different directions. On one end, him being traded for the fourth pick, it feels risky, even though I think it's not as risky as it might sound. I don't think 33 is old for a goaltender.
I don't either.
I don't think $8.5 million per year is expensive for him. And I consider last year to be overstated for how bad it was for Hellebuck. It was a middle-of-the-road goalie season in the NHL. And that was his worst season in years, maybe ever, his entire career. And it wasn't Bobrovsky, who was one of the worst goalies in hockey a year ago. It wasn't Jordan Binnington, who was the worst goalie in hockey a year ago. He was middle of the pack. And he had a knee injury. And he was on a bad team. So I've got explanations for why it happened. And I've got a background in goaltending that shows if you're a top-level guy, unless you have a career-ending injury like Carey Price did where he had no cartilage left in his knee.
Right.
So what are you going to do? Like, it's over. Unless that happens, you are going to be a good goalie for a while. I remember Roberto Luongo being this. Roberto Luongo was not shot, but people thought he was done in his 30s, and then he went back to Florida. Vancouver, the contract was like really expensive, and he had even said he hated his contract at one point, but he had a decent career in Vancouver. And then Vancouver trades him back to Florida at 34 years old. And Luongo's a Hall of Fame goalie, like Hellebuck. And he goes to Florida, and then he proceeds to have a 5-year stretch from age 34 to age 38 with the Florida Panthers, where he posted save percentages of 921, excuse me, I skipped one, 924, 921, 922, 915, and 929. Now, his age 39-year-old season, finally, it fell apart, 899. But he had Vezina votes at age 36 and at age 38. Bobrovsky winning the cup and playing at a high level at 37 and 36. Pekka Rinne going into his mid-30s as an excellent goaltender. He just made the Hall of Fame, right? And Rinne, I mean, he's a guy at 38 years old, had a 907. 36 years old, had a 918. Won the Vezina at 35. That's 2 years from now for Hellebuck. Like, if you are a Hall of Fame caliber goalie and you don't have a career-ending injury, you're probably going to be really good into your late 30s. And Hellebuck is 33. So if he doesn't get the injury problems, and the knee injury, there doesn't sound like there's any concern about it. He had an operation, good is good, and it wasn't like a major thing. He didn't tear ligaments, right? Like it was like a meniscus thing. So not major enough to be worried. If he doesn't get the big injuries, history tells you a goalie of this level is got 5, maybe even 6 more great years left in him. So if they traded 4 for him, yeah, I would absolutely talk myself into this is good. This is aggressive. I am not going to sit on my hands and let the Florida Panthers storm back and take the Atlantic Division from me. I am going to fight back on that. And I lost Tuck. I lost Byram. My skaters are weaker. And what is one way I could counteract that? Well, one way is replacing them with guys that are as good. And you go get Matthew Nyes, you could do that with Alex Tuck. I don't know how you're doing that with Bo Byram. I can't imagine between now and the start of the season they'll get a 4th defenseman as good as Bo Byram. I would expect and hope they're going to get somebody better than what they have right now, but I don't think they're getting a guy as good as Byram. So that's at least one spot where I'm downgrading. Maybe the kids show up and offset the Tuck, loss. Hellebuck is how I offset it.
Yeah, he can offset that Byram loss.
He is, if he's the best goalie in the world, or if he's one of the 5 best goalies in the world all year long for me, then getting weaker on the blue line, yeah, I've offset that. And now I've got a guy going into playoff series that has questions, but I believe if the Sabres play him less than Winnipeg did, you are likely to get better results.
Exactly.
And I just want to see that. I'd want to take that out for a spin. If he underperforms in the postseason again, then he'll start getting the choker label even more than he already does. But I would want to bet on, he's a great goalie. He plays 1 million games. If he comes here and he plays 50 games, then I'm going to get better results in the postseason. Is that worth the 4th pick?
I mean, I feel like
if I win,
I think it could be argued.
Here's the question. You trade the 4th pick for Connor Hellebuck. What has to happen for that to be a good trade?
Deeper run at least than last season, right?
So just go further than you were a year ago?
Eastern Conference Final or a Stanley Cup.
Does it have to be team-oriented? What if he wins the Vezina?
That's also, I mean, that very well could be as well. If he has a personal performance year that excels what he's done in Winnipeg,
yep,
I think that is a win. He's playing a top-tier level for you.
I mean, there would be multiple ways to answer this too, right? Like it's what you started with. I think that's where most people would start. How far am I going?
Mm-hmm.
He's my goalie, and I'm making the playoffs. How far am I going? Did I go to the finals? And did I only do it once? How long does he play well? I mentioned you could play for 5-6 years at this level. You also could play for 2 or 3. I would guess that it's more closer to the 5 or 6, but if I got 3 great years out of Hellebuck, that probably isn't worth the 4th pick, or is it? That's the question. How many years would it take? I'll put a poll up on that.
Yeah,
because if I got 5 great years out of it, yeah, I think that's worth it.
I would agree. Also, just the way they slammed the window open this year, that's a win now move, is it not? Like that's that. So if they are able to do that in 3 years, and then he kind of slides after a few, I think you get your worth out of that no matter what.
Yep. 4 for him would just be really interesting, and I think it's the type of trade we'd be talking about a lot. The risk of it, the strategy of it, the mentality of it. Mm-hmm. I would, as much as I would wrestle with the value of it, I would respect the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Because that is a GM that's not afraid to pay something big and is not doing it for Bo Byram. No offense to Bo Byram, but there's a difference to me between I'm trading for Bo Byram using the 4th pick and I'm trading for Connor Hellebuck. It is I'm using a pick to project a guy that's never done the role he wants is going to do it for me. And Chicago, that's a trade that is not about winning the cup. That is a trade that is about, I need to start competing for playoff spots or else I'm going to get fired. And that to me is more desperation than what the Sabres would be doing. Hellebuck, you're not projecting him to do anything. He is incredible. You are doing something that is acquiring one of the best players in the world. So that is different than I'm just trying to get better so that I don't get fired, which is how I see the Chicago trade. This would be, I am trying to win the trophy. That's why I'm doing it. And bleep them picks. I'm going to go win. Still feel like I wouldn't do it. I want to be able to get him for something else. I want to be able to get Hellebuck for 20, and something on top of that. Luukkonen, of course, would be a part of it. I want to think you can get him without including 4. But we'll see. Maybe it does take that. 803-0550 is the phone number. Luke in Silver Creek is next up. What's up, Luke?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
So I feel like a lot of what has to do with the urgency that a team operates with has to do with the age of their core. Obviously, an older core, you might move a little quicker to get things done and get a chip in your window. And obviously, our core is very young. But Lindy's only on a 2-year contract, so I think that could have something to do with the haste that Jarmo operates with. So I'll hang up and listen, and go Sabres.
Yeah, thanks, Luke, for the call. Jeremy's talked about this. Like that, the Bills, it's about winning one with Josh.
For Josh, too.
For Josh.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 30, so we're not at the end yet on that, and we're not near it yet. But why not the same mentality with Lindy? Lindy, who's been here for most of his life.
Every decade of the team's existence, there's been a crossover with Lindy Ruff.
I mean, the man arrived here in 1979 and is still here. And is poured into this organization and broke the playoff drought and played a big part in it. Pushed all the right buttons. Everything he seemed to do in the playoffs was the right thing. And he wasn't afraid to put Helenius in the lineup and move lines around that had been together since December, right? Like Tage, Tuck, and Krebs had been playing together for months. And finally, Lindy said, I'm breaking them up. It's not going well. And I don't think every coach would have done that. The way he managed the end of the series against Montreal and, they outplayed him in those final games. Like, deserved to win. You'd want to win one for him. And that doesn't mean you have to trade everything because I have to win in the next 2 years or who cares. But I would have a little bit of that in me. Yeah. Go trade for Connor Hellebuck because let's win the cup with Lindy as the coach. If you think they're capable of winning the cup, go win the cup now. The story that it would be if Lindy was the one to do it, like it was when he was the one to break the playoff drought. And I'm still bitter about the Jack Adams Award. So, anything you want to get in terms of hardware on Lindy's resume right now. The cup, I mean, it is the one thing he doesn't have that the other coaches around him all-time do. All-time wins in the National Hockey League for a coach. Lindy is 4th with 950. And of the top 10 coaches all-time in wins, he is the only one that doesn't have a Stanley Cup. Bowman, the guys above him, Bowman has 9, Quenneville 3, Maurice 2, Lindy none. So, yeah. Some urgency. But my urgency wouldn't be because of that. It's like almost it's a bonus. It's a cherry on top. I want urgency because I want to win a championship, and I think this team is capable of doing it if they make the right moves. They're close enough where, yes, they could do it next year. But you might want them to make a move or two before really feeling secure in that. Dominic is next up. Hey, Dominic.
Hey, how's it going, Joe and Joe? I was just calling basically pretty much piggybacking on similar to what you were saying. I feel like I don't want prospects. I mean, I feel like in the NHL draft, like 1 and 2 are already right off the bat. 4 isn't going to do anything for us this year, maybe not next year. So I just want players that can play now. And I feel like this offseason is kind of a blanket statement for the offseason in general. Is just like I feel like the Buffalo Bills should be like a cautionary tale on how not to win a championship. Like they've been the best team at literally like everything for 5 years now and still won nothing. And I just don't want the Sabres do the same thing and be like, oh, we'll just kind of like plop a guy here and there and fill in some holes. Like, no, go like all in, like just go for it before you're too good for too long and you get leapfrogged like the Bills did because you don't have high picks and blah, 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 because your record's good. Like we got leapfrogged by the Patriots, the Broncos. I'm not saying they're better than us, but you know what I mean? They've caught up. And so I just basically just saying, like, I want the Sabres to just go for it like they can win the Cup this year. And that's all.
Yeah, me too. Me too, Dominic. I want to see them challenge the moves Florida has made. They got Brady Tkachuk. They're already a loaded roster. I've got to go through them. Probably. I've got them. I've got Tampa. I've got Montreal. This division's going to be tough. And the Sabres are a great team. But you want to keep up? It's going to be an arms race. Montreal is involved in a lot of these rumors too. Like, they're not going to sit on their hands and do nothing. Maybe Tampa does nothing just because they're one of these teams that I think has, like, no cap space. The Sabres have some. Tampa is at... No, Tampa actually, no, they have a little. $13 million. So they might do something. And Florida's probably done. But
I would assume that's the end. That's probably all they can do, right? Their picks are gone, like you said, and cap space is minimal at this point.
We'll keep hearing them mention, though, when it comes to Hellebuck. I just can't believe they're going to do that.
It's the Team USA group chat. That's the only thing that's doing it.
By the way, one name we have not talked about today is Zach Werenski.
Ah, yeah.
What is that? He is the Norris Trophy winner. Yarmo drafted him. He obviously was with Yarmo in Columbus for years. And he probably wants out. That's what it sounds like. I listened to The Sheet yesterday with Jeff Merrick, and they had Aaron Portzline on who covers the Blue Jackets. We've had him on the show from The Athletic. And I don't know, listening to them talk about it, two guys that are pretty much in the know, I just feel like Werenski is another one of these star players that you should be thinking about getting moved. And I don't know. What's that? That is a guy that's on par with Dahlin. I said earlier this segment, you're not getting a guy that's as good as Bo Byram. I mean, that guy is way better than Bo Byram.
That would what a blue line you'd have if you made that move. Like,
yeah, I don't see any rumors about him otherwise, though. It's just more his dissatisfaction about it, that he probably wants out, but I haven't seen any trade rumors attached to it. Maybe Werenski's the idea. Man, that would be something, though. He's Dahlin. You are two Dahlins now. You got the best defense pair ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like Scott Niedermayer, Chris Pronger level defense pair.
I kind of want that. Now that we're talking about it, I'm starting to itch for it.
Yeah, give me the break. I'm going to look around and see if there's any rumors about Werenski, but I haven't seen any. 803-0550 is the phone number. More of your phone calls when we return. The World Cup as well. And if you're waking up to the news of what happened last night, because it happened late last night, the U.S. did fall against Turkey late, but the game meant nothing to the standings and who they're going to play. So we'll tell you more about that, and we'll have Nick Mendola in along the way. Paul as well coming up at 8. Loaded show. Mike Morial at 9. And time for your phone calls, especially over the next half hour. So line them up. You got the break here. Call in. Let me know. What do you want to do with the fourth pick? We'll also update our poll when we come back on what you want to see them do with the pick. Nyes, Hellebuck, draft a forward, draft a defenseman. There's a lot of options for Yarmo in the draft tonight. 7 o'clock for round 1 of the NHL draft. Paul Hamilton, Brian Koziel, Brayton Wilson, Joe Cali will be in the bowl down on the draft floor.
In the bowl.
He'll be involved as well. Stay tuned. It's Jeremy and Joe. This is WGR.
It's draft day in the NHL. The Sabres have the 4th and 20th picks in the first round. We'll see if they make the selections or trade them away. In case you missed any of the action from this week, you can catch up on our website with all of Paul Hamilton's pieces, WGR550.com. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. tonight. Coverage of the NHL draft on WGR is brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and by Dash's Market, serving Western New York for over 100 years. Shop the family of finer foods. In the World Cup yesterday, the U.S. men's national team fell to Turkey 3-2 last night. Some other scores. Ecuador beat Germany 2-1. The Netherlands beat Tunisia 3-1. Japan and Sweden drew 1-1, and Paraguay and Australia drew 0-0. Around the NFL, ESPN's Adam Schefter says it's more likely than not that free agent defensive end Joey Bosa has played his last NFL snap. Brandon Ayuk said he would sign with the Commanders tomorrow. The 49ers cut him on a social media video. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not drafted here, I want to be a villain wherever I go. So, I guess if that's how it goes, then that's how it goes.
Gavin McKenna on being a villain in Buffalo.
He said, if I'm not drafted here.
Well, he won't be drafted here, so.
No, he won't, but.
Right? He won't be drafted here. What would it cost?
What are the odds on that, I wonder?
John Shaka did say that he had taken calls about the number one pick, but they have settled on the number one pick, and they're not entertaining those. Hey, he was a Penn State kid. We know about Terry Pagula and Penn State. I don't think you can get to one. I don't think. 803-0550 is the phone number. Couple things coming up. We got your phone calls coming up. Got a Bill who is on record guaranteeing multiple Super Bowls.
What?
So let's all take a thought. Think about who you think that might be. So that's coming up. World Cup talk with Nick Mendola in the next hour as well. The U.S. falls last night to Turkey in the final seconds, but luckily for the standings, it did not really matter. They win the group, and they will play Bosnia. Before we get to your calls again, there was a report a couple of days ago about Zach Werenski in Columbus. Connection with Yarmo, Norris Trophy winning defenseman, and there's been a lot of smoke about him. Pierre LeBrun said on Werenski, he has not asked for a trade, but teams around the league believe that is coming. So that kind of makes him available. I would imagine teams are calling then. So no trade demand yet, but it's coming, according to LeBrun via other teams around the league. 803-0550 is the phone number. What do you want tonight with pick number 4? Frank Upstate is next up. Hey, Frank.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Can you hear me all right?
Morning. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's just awesome that we're talking about big-name players for once. It's like such a big change. Like, I had to paint a picture for you. Like, picture we were in a WWE ring. It's 2020. Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart are both on the ground waiting to get counted out. And all of a sudden, the lights go out. You hear Undertaker's theme music, and then down comes running from the stands is I can't think of his name right now. Oh, Michael Frolik. Like, thank God we don't have to worry about that. And I'm excited for the draft, but I still think we should trade the 4 pick for getting somebody for a replacement for Bo Byram, because I think their most important part is our blue line. Thanks. Have a great day.
Yeah,
Bye.
Thanks. I had no idea what name he was about to throw out there when he couldn't think of who was walking down the stands.
Me neither.
Ended up being Michael Frolik. Yeah, okay. I said this earlier. I think tonight is arguably the most exciting draft for the Sabres of my lifetime because of how good they are with a top 5 pick and uncertainty. The Eichel draft's great. The Dahlin draft is great because you know you're getting an elite player, but you knew who they were picking all day, all week, all month. You knew who they were going to take. Tonight, I have no idea who they're going to end up with. No idea. It could be Vigo Bjork. It could be Chase Reed. It could be Matthew Nyes.
Connor Hellebuck.
It could be Connor Hellebuck. It could be, probably can't be Jason Robertson, but maybe. Who else could it be? It could be Zach Werenski. You just mentioned, like, Yarmo, if someone's calling about him, it's got to be Yarmo. I'd bet my life he's called at least once just to see. And maybe he just got told the answer is no. But could it be Larkin? It could be so many guys. And that's drama, and that is not something you get at every draft. Even when you're bad. Like, again, Toronto, like, cool night for them, the Leafs fans. You're drafting Gavin McKenna. You're drafting first overall. You're not learning anything. You know what's happening tonight. I guess, actually, Toronto, bad example, because there are outside factors. The pick, there isn't any drama. They know they're taking McKenna. But they're nice, right? Like, they don't know if they're trading Matthew Nyes tonight. And that could happen on the stage. So that moment could be incredible if it happens. If I were handicapping it, just speculating, looking at all the reports and all the rumors and everything you hear over the course of the last week, nobody should be considered a favorite. This is one of those where it's a golf tournament. You're betting on a golf tournament, and everybody's plus money. Nobody is more likely than a coin flip to be the guy you get. So, not likely, not probable, but I think I'd want to put Nyes number one. Who they end up with tonight, who we wake up tomorrow morning and they have acquired via the fourth pick. Above all the prospects, above all the other trade ideas, I think I want to put Nyes number one. There's smoke about it. I think there's going to be a willingness to trade him via Toronto because there's too much being said about it. He's on the market. They're going to pull it back now. They've been talking to everybody for weeks, months, going back to the trade deadline.
Yeah, didn't they have the deal done and it just didn't get done in time?
Yeah, 1 minute late to Montreal. And the Sabres were in on it then. They're reportedly in on it now. Toronto wants a top 10 pick, and the Sabres went out and got a top 10 pick. And he's friends with Josh Doan.
Doesn't like the GM,
probably
arguably.
Right, probably doesn't like the GM
Allegedly,
in Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto needs defensemen. And guess what? You're probably getting at number 4, the best defenseman in the draft. Yeah, I think I'd want to put Nyes number 1. And I'd pick one of the prospects for number 2. I think I'd want to put one of the prospects above Hellebuck or anybody else that would be a trade. Robertson is I might want to put Chase Reed second. I might want to go, if I were power ranking it, who they're going to end up with tonight, most likely. It's going to be Nyes 1 and Chase Reed 2. That's just, spitballing.
I for some reason in my brain, I feel like Hellebuck's more likely than not. Not by Nyes. But
than drafting?
Yes. I think if Nyes doesn't, I think they're going to find a way to get Hellebuck. There's too much smoke for them to just not.
Well,
and if it's going to take the 4th pick, I think they would do that if Nyes isn't going to happen.
That would go to the idea that Hellebuck is their plan B right now. That they would do it, but they'd rather do something else. But trading for Hellebuck would be, we are doing something with this pick. That would truly be, we don't want to make this pick. We want to get better right now. And this guy might not be the position we're hoping for, but he makes us better right now. Unequivocally, he makes us better right now. You can't argue the other side of it. I mean, it's goalie. It's at some point it's a roll of the dice. But if you're making a bet on who's going to give you more next season, Connor Hellebuck or Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and you ask 100 people in the league, all 100 are taking Connor Hellebuck.
Sure.
So that makes you better. Yeah, maybe.
And he fills that Bo
right.
Byram void a little bit, not being a defenseman, of course, but pads that a little bit.
When we come back, which Bill is guaranteeing multiple Super Bowls? Stay tuned. Hey, it's Sneaky. All right, which Bill in an article at The Athletic, Tim Graham,
Oh, boy.
has guaranteed multiple Super Bowls. Mostly guaranteed. I mean, he doesn't say the word guarantee, but you might be able to guess it. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, really good piece from Tim Graham about his days in Houston and how that ended there, and it's a really good story about. He's interesting.
Yeah.
So
He's an
would
interesting
definitely
cat.
recommend it. The one quote I did just want to pick out, though, for here is, quote, "I'm going to win the next 2 out of 3 Super Bowls. How? Look at where they placed me at. Look who's my quarterback. I've got a bleeping fighting chance it's over with." 2 of the next 3 Super Bowls.
Inject that in my veins. Come on.
All right.
He's a talker, but he's that kind of a guy too, though. He's a hype man. So
Yeah.
loud guy in the locker room, everything you'd probably want to motivate everybody. So
Yeah. I think he's going to be fun.
I do too.
I'm hoping in a good way.
Does he get ejected for saying something crazy? Is the question.
Over under on C.J. Gardner-Johnson ejections. How about I'll put it at 1.
Over under 1 on the season?
Yeah, so 1, no one gets paid. Over 2, under 0.
I'd probably take over.
Over 2
Yeah.
times?
Yeah, maybe. Goes a little crazy out there.
How many times has he been ejected in his career?
I don't know. He might not have had all that many ejections. He might stop before that gets to that point.
He hasn't been ejected since December of 2024.
Okay, so a season.
Yeah.
Ejection-free season. What does it say, what for?
He got 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. The first, he got into an altercation with Diami Brown of Washington. The second, he got for taunting.
Okay.
Because you get 2. You get 2 and you're out. So it wasn't like one action, but yeah. When we come back, Paul Hamilton. What's going to happen tonight? Talk about it with Paul. Next, Jeremy and Joe here on WGR.
It's draft day in the NHL. The Sabres, they have the 4th and 20th picks in the first round. We'll see if they make the selections or trade them away. In case you missed any of the action from this week, you can catch up on our website with all of Paul Hamilton's pieces, WGR550.com. Paul joins Joe coming up next. Coverage of the draft starts tonight at 7. It's brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and by Dash's Market. Serving Western New York for over 100 years. Shop the family of finer foods. In the World Cup, the U.S. men's national team fell to Turkey 3-2 last night. Some other scores from yesterday. Ecuador beat Germany 2-1. The Netherlands beat Tunisia 3-1. Japan and Sweden drew 1-1. And Paraguay and Australia drew 0-0. Around the NFL, ESPN's Adam Schefter says it's more likely than not that free agent defensive end Joey Bosa has played his last NFL snap. Brandon Ayuk said he would sign with the Commanders tomorrow if the 49ers cut him on a social media video yesterday. And DeAndre Hopkins said he would love to play for a competitor at this point in his career. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's NHL draft night. Well, I guess it's draft day right now. It will be NHL draft night some point soon. We'll have coverage throughout the night here on WGR, 7 o'clock for round number 1. Paul coming up in just a moment, but first, notice a rattle in your ducts or a rise in your heating bills and cooling bills. If you do, give Belknap a ring. 0% financing. The cost of upgrading to a high-efficiency dual-fuel heating system is a breeze. Learn more at belknapheating.com. That's belknapheating.com. Go green, save energy and money with Belknap. You can schedule a free estimate on your new installation. Give Belknap a ring at 688-1728. For more comfort and less ka-ching, give Belknap a ring. Paul Hamilton now on the Westher Hotline. Good morning, Paul. This should be a pretty fun day, I think. I think Sabre fans are pumped up just because the team is good and they have a top 5 pick, which isn't usually the case.
Yeah, I mean, I know everybody's had envy of teams that have been able to do that. It's like, yeah, we won the Stanley Cup and we also have the 2nd overall pick because of a trade we made like 2 years ago or something. And, so now Buffalo, they didn't win the Stanley Cup, but of course they have gotten quite a bit better, made the playoffs, got 2 rounds in, almost made the conference finals, and now they have that situation where they have a high pick. And, whatever happens, I mean, it's going to be good. I mean, even if you have to make the pick, I think most people, and I would say it's better for the Buffalo Sabres if they can make a very good big trade with that pick. But if they have to make the pick, it's obviously not the end of the world.
Right. I'm trying to think of a move they could make tonight that wouldn't at least have people be excited. We just talked about like Hellebuck a little bit, Paul. And there was it LeBron who said that the 4th pick was in discussion, I think was the way he put it, for him. And, like, that's not a trade I would make. No. That's one where, though, it would be a combo of, like, half the people saying that is not a good deal for you value-wise, and then a lot of people are also really excited because you also just got one of the best goalies in the world.
Yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be the player. I just don't give up
the price.
I would not give up the 4th pick for a goaltender. I just would not.
Right. And do you feel like that idea is more on not the back burner, but it more is the plan B anyway? Like that, I think there's an indication from all corners that they want to improve the team, that they would like to make a trade tonight to improve the team, and that maybe they'd be open to that being a goaltender, but that they prefer it being somebody up front.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. If you get better, you get better. I mean, obviously you want to get better, but I think it's more important to get better up front right now. I think their goaltending's fine, and I've heard Kekalainen twice now say that we're probably going to just run our goaltending back. He didn't say 100% for sure, but he said, I think something like, I'm paraphrasing, as of now, that's our plan, is to run the goaltending back. And he felt maybe people were too hard on the goaltending. He even said, the goaltender lets in one bad goal or has one bad game, and the people in this room all of a sudden, the goaltending's awful type of a thing, and they're all over him. And so which isn't true either. I mean, but it's so he's said it twice now that they're pretty much going to run the goaltending back, but he also has said no matter what you're talking about, if you can get better at any position, then you get better.
Right. By the way, for tonight's draft, covering it, you'll be at the stadium, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
me at the stadium, and then on the air we'll be up in the radio booth as far as Brian and Brayton Wilson, and then your friend Joe Cali there will be covering it down on the floor with the players that are down there. So we're going to be all over the place.
Do you hate the setup in that way, like that it isn't centralized anymore and everybody's down on the floor together?
Yes, I looked forward to it. Even before I was traveling and, way back when, I've always been going to the draft, always looked forward to it. It's a central location where the teams are all there. You've got the top players all there. You've got all the media in one place. It's the only opportunity you get where, media from all over the NHL are there, and you get a chance to interact with them again, and in a setting where you're all together. So it's really number one, a lot of fun, and number two, it just makes it better to cover the thing. I mean, GMs would come back, they're on the floor. We were in the risers there, but there was a little wall there between us. They'd come back and chat, and almost every GM at some point would come back to the wall and chat with reporters and that type of thing. So it was just, I think, a really good way to do it, but the NHL is all about saving money, and this saves owners a lot of money. It saves teams headaches of having to pack up all their notes, all their scouts, and pretty much move their operation to another city. Now, the Sabres had to do that, but they didn't have to go to another city. They just had to move their operation from downtown to Orchard Park.
Right. Yeah, I liked it too that way. I mean, I would look forward to every year this GM got up and went over to the other table. Are we getting something there? It feels like maybe the owners like this because, like you said, the cost. Yeah. Yarmo kind of spoke to it though, that it sounds like I've heard other GMs say this too, that the GMs might prefer the centralized, but they're not the ones making that call.
Kevin Adams did too. He talked about it before he left that. He liked the centralized part of the draft too.
Yeah. So in terms of tonight, in making the pick, if they were to make the pick, Paul, do you have a preference or a thing you don't want to see the Sabres do tonight? Like there's a little bit of discussion on one of the players, Vigo Bjork, just because he's maybe a Zach Benson clone, but that's another 5'9" forward. There's the defenseman idea that sometimes can take a year or two. What do you look at from them prospect-wise as being a good or maybe not so good idea?
Honestly, Bjork seems to be the idea that a lot of people like the most for the Buffalo Sabres. He gets talked about the most. As far as, when people are trying to figure out who the Sabres might take, especially if the top three forwards are off the board. When Buffalo picks at 4, instead of taking the top defenseman, then, how about you take Bork? So there's been an appetite for that. And I have the Hockey News draft preview open. They got Bjork going 12th. They rank him 12th.
Wow, that's the lowest I feel like I've seen him.
Yeah, so I think that's the lowest I'd seen him too. So I was just thumbing through this as we were talking.
Yeah.
And but they have Mahaltra ranked 6th, which some people have him higher also, and a lot of people have him going to the Vancouver Canucks at 3, where the Hockey News has Chase Reed at 3. They, of course, have McKenna, Stenberg, and then Reed, Vernoff, Carroll's, and then Mahaltra. As the way they rank it through the top 6.
Bjork, it's funny. Like I'm at Elite Prospects right now because they have a little section where they show where he's been ranked by everybody, and there it is. Yeah, there's Hockey News at number 12. Some places he's as high as 3. And isn't that always true, Paul? Of the 5'9" guy in the top of the draft, is there's like this crazy variance to where he could go. Like wasn't that Caulfield a couple years ago too, where like people thought he could go top 5 and he ended up going like he went beyond the Sabres. I don't remember where he went, like 15th. Benson fell his year. Like sometimes those guys do just fall because they're not big players.
Now the Sabres have spent some time drafting bigger players recently because it was for a while all Adams wanted was Team Munchkin. And, a lot of, like, 2 of the 3 youngsters who will probably make the Sabres next year are smaller players. They're good players, and their size doesn't seem to hinder them at all in the National Hockey League, in their young National Hockey League career, and Helenius and, of course, Ostlund.
Mm-hmm.
But, Savoy was small. Ostlund was small. Kulik's a little bit bigger. But, and then all of a sudden, then Benson gets drafted. He's small, but the second-round pick is Anton Wahlberg, who's been learning how to be a good, power forward down in Rochester for the past couple of years. Of course, I've talked a lot about Kleber and Sturbeck, big right-handed shooting defenseman who they took in the second round. So the drafting that they've done recently has been getting off of that small, like almost exclusively small guys and getting some larger guys. So if they wound up drafting another small one, but he's got the talent, I think the organization has gotten itself bigger the last couple of years.
Yeah, the other thing too, that while they are small, Paul, like all of those guys you just brought up that they've drafted, except maybe I don't want to say this isn't Kulik, but I feel like it's definitely true of Benson and Helenius and Ostlund, like in terms of them like winning battles and needing to play the way that, like they're not finesse players, even though they might be small. And that kind of sounds like what Bjork might be too, like high motor, high competitiveness, wins battles along the wall. Like I'm just reading from a draft guide here. Like it feels like he might fit into what they have in a skill set with their other small, forwards coming up.
Yeah, that's what I meant with Ostlund and Helenius. Even though they're small, it doesn't hinder them.
Right.
I mean, they don't shy away from contact. They don't shy away from being in the hard areas. Of course, Benson always falls into these comments I'm making now. I don't think I have to even bring up his name. Everybody knows he's in the hard areas. And what amazes me about Benson is he can protect a puck on his hands and knees,
right?
And he doesn't lose it. And that just blows me away how somebody that small gets into battle and wins battle, and sometimes he is on his hands and knees, but he's still winning the battle. Mm-hmm. And so that has amazed me ever since he came into the NHL, how good he is at protecting pucks and winning battles that way.
Paul, if they're up at 4 and the best idea for them or the best player available is a defenseman, do you feel like that – I don't think that would stop them from doing it by any means. Do you feel like, though, I would wonder what that would mean about Radim Murtka immediately. Like, would it make him more tradable this offseason?
Yeah, because, a lot of the talk, as far as, well, who's the best defenseman, Chase Reed. A lot of people feel this is a number 1 pair guy. Not right off the bat. Again, we're probably talking maybe next year, maybe a year down the road. Mm-hmm. But maybe 2 years down the road. But when he settles in, he's being talked about as a number 1 pair defenseman. So there's nothing wrong with that. But, as you mentioned, the Sabres they've got 3 studs, and they're all signed for long term. So Chase Reed, if he were a Sabre, once he developed, probably wouldn't even get the opportunity to be a first pair defenseman. He would be down with Power, or or maybe with Samuelson if Power wound up with Dahlin, or because that's all interchangeable. I think the top 3 the Sabres have, and so he wouldn't even probably get that opportunity with Buffalo. Nor I think will Murtka. That's why I said this Crevier helped them just get to Murtka or Kleber. Give them another year or two where he can play a role maybe in the top 4. But it gets you to your 2 studs, and then if you draft Chase 3, well, now you got 3 studs in your organization that you're going to try to develop.
Right. The other thing about Reed is like he's not small; he's 6'3", but he moves, and the skating is there, and he's offensive too. And the way Lindy Ruff and the Sabres play, I don't know if Lindy would still be here 3-4 years from now when Reed is like becoming fully formed, but I don't know, Paul, like their blue line is so active and attacking that any defenseman you lay out in front of me where you tell me, like, oh, that's this guy, I feel like, okay, perfect. Like Buffalo is where you'll get the most out of a player like that.
And don't forget, the Sabres drafted the best defenseman in Rasmus Dahlin, what they felt he was first overall, and they felt Owen Power was the best defenseman first overall. It took both of them 4 years to become Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until Don Granato really took the pressure off Rasmus Dahlin and defended him every time he went to a podium, whether people will ask about him or not, that it gave Dahlin the confidence to finally, say, hey, I am good, and I'm going to start playing that way. But that was 4 years into his and I think Rasmus Dahlin is probably going to be a better defenseman than Chase Reed. So, yeah, could somebody be like Schaefer did last year and just jump right in? Yeah, it happens. Quinn Hughes has done it, and Makar has done it, but we're talking about elite there.
Right. Yeah, it really is forgotten that Dahlin, like that third year when Kruger was the coach, it was not going well at all.
No.
And I remember being like not afraid of him leaving or anything, but afraid of him not being a great player, basically.
It was. I think we probably talked about it. It's like,
sure,
is he what he's supposed to be, or was he overhyped? It got to that point where those conversations were being had.
Right. And it certainly obviously turned around from there. So those are a couple of the names for the Sabres at number 4 tonight. Do you feel like if they don't trade 4, they're going to trade 20? Like, I don't know, Paul. It feels like the odds of them making both picks tonight just seems so slim.
He wants to trade everything and everybody. I mean,
right. He wants to be it sounds like they're in on almost everything, at least.
For us to sit here and say, well, do we think they're going to? He wants to do. It's like I guess he would say to us, "What's the offer?" Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to trade. Yeah, I want to get the team better. But what's the offer? Type of a thing. So,
right.
To say, well, is he going to trade 20? He's going to talk about it. That's for sure. Not probably. I'll guarantee you he already has talked about it. Whether it's 4, 20, 45, whatever that may be. The only thing he probably has not talked about trading is Dahlin, Samuelsson, and Power. Mm-hmm. Other than that, if somebody wants to call and have a conversation, I'm sure he's willing to have it.
Yeah. Would you include
Or maybe Benson might fall in that category too.
Tage? Not all the way?
I don't think it would have to be
like a monster. Yeah.
A monster type of a trade. He's not looking to trade Tage, but I don't think he would hang the phone up.
Right. The thing about Thompson,
I think he'd hang the phone up with those 3 defensemen.
Right. The thing about Thompson too, Paul, is as all of these new contracts are coming in and hearing about what guys are about to get, Thompson making $7.1 million for the next 4 years is good. I mean, that might be the most, he might be one of the most underpaid players in the league. I don't think I think he just is. I think if he were on the open market today, what would he get? Would he get what Robertson's asking for, like $14 million per year?
I don't know if he'd get that much, but
he'd get a lot more than he has.
Yes, definitely would get a lot more than he has. And I bet two guys, Samuelsson and Thompson, are probably sorry they signed those long-term contracts. For a while, everybody was, you're paying that much money for Samuelsson? Are you out of your mind? That guy stinks. Blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, wow, look at this nice contract they have for Samuelsson.
Right. I think Power's going to fall in that category too, right, at $8 million.
I think he did by last year with the way he performed last year.
Right. On some of the ideas around the league, Paul, Jason Robertson last night, the story from Elliot Friedman that he turned down 8 years, $15 million per year from Seattle. There also was a report about him turning down St. Louis. Do you think it's a waste of time to be thinking about him? I don't know. It kind of sounds like he has a destination in mind, unless you think Buffalo would be that much more appealing to him than Seattle or St. Louis.
I'll tell you what. I wouldn't. Maybe you would. I would not pay him $15 million. I don't think he's worth that. I think he's a very, very good hockey player, but $15 million, and I know things are changing in the NHL. I get that, but I wouldn't. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that.
Do you have a bigger problem with the money than maybe what it would cost to trade for him? It would probably cost the 4th pick, I would assume. But
Oh, absolutely
Yeah.
would. I guess I'm too hung up on the money.
Yeah.
Than to even get to what it would cost to get him. If I could get comfortable with the money, then I probably would think more about, you know, what it would cost to get him. But I don't know. And again, I understand how things are changing in the NHL. Totally get it. And people might be sitting there going, yeah, but that's the cost of doing business now. You know, you get a top goal scorer, it's going to cost you $15 million. So it's just like, yeah, that I can't maybe disagree with that. I just that player is a very, very good player. There's just no question about it. But I just don't think he's a $15 million player. I just don't. But this is also, what do I call this time of year all the time? Stupid time. He is only 26. You know, he'll be 27 next month, so let's call him 27. So, you know, you got that, but, you know, and he did score 45. It was he has been a 40-goal scorer 3 different times in this league and a 35-goal scorer in another. So he definitely is talented, and somebody might say, well, yeah, with that kind of production, if you're going to pay somebody $15 million, he's the guy. You know, so but for some reason, that's what's hanging up in my head is I could be wrong on that, and I'm sure there's people out there that disagree with that, but I just wouldn't want to pay him $15 million.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. Like, it is a lot. I mean, it's $5 million more we're talking about than basically what Alex Tuck got. So, like, I might lean towards, like, I would do it, but it wouldn't just be easy. And you'd have to make a lot work, right? Like, Jarmo Kekalainen said this week, like, if they were going to sign Tuck to his number, they would have had to say goodbye to a few pieces. I mean, if you're signing Robertson, you'd have to say goodbye to even more than that. Like, it'd be tough for them to do that.
Okay, let me Leon Draisaitl's 30.
Yep.
And here's a $14 million hockey player in the second year of his contract. So it's who in my mind, or you can talk about in your mind, who's the better hockey player? I think Leon Draisaitl by far.
I'd say Draisaitl. Yep.
By
Definitely.
far. Is a better, and that's no insult to Robertson. I think Robertson's a very good hockey player. I think Leon Draisaitl is one of the best hockey players in the National Hockey League, making $14 million. So now I know the money every year is going to keep larger and larger and larger. But that's what I have in my head when I'm thinking $15 million, because it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't like Thompson's contract that he signed, you know, what, three years ago or 4 years ago, whatever it was.
Yep.
And it's like it was just signed not too long ago. So in the 2025 season. So I would not make Jason Robertson more money than Leon Draisaitl.
What do you think it says for Seattle, by the way? Seattle is Jason Botterill's clearly trying to take a big swing. He tried for Panarin at the deadline. He wouldn't go there. He's offering the bank for Robertson. He wouldn't take his money. I mean, if you're a Kraken fan this morning, I mean, what are you supposed to feel? I mean, we've kind of lived this life a little bit at times, right? Like,
sure.
Top players don't want to go there. That, by the way, Paul, is a little bit of an example of, hey, the taxes help. Like, Washington doesn't have state income tax like some of these other states. You better be a good team, too, though, because they're getting told no, not because of taxes, but because I'm sure players don't feel like they're ready to contend for a Stanley Cup.
And that's the thing. When Adams talked about palm trees and sun and taxes and all that. No, it's winning. It's winning. People have wanted to come to Buffalo when Buffalo wins. For 17 years, nobody wanted to be a Buffalo Bill. And then all of a sudden, Sean McDermott comes and straightens out the organization, and in comes Josh Allen. The Bills don't have any problem getting people come. People don't say, well, I don't want to go to Buffalo. I mean, they have no – people want to come play on a team with Josh Allen. When Briere and Drury were here and Miller, the Sabres had no problems getting people to come here. I don't want to go to Buffalo. Are you kidding me? No, because they were an up-and-coming good team that some people thought were going to win the Stanley Cup. The year that they got all the injuries, people thought the Sabres were going to win the Stanley Cup that year. It's winning, and that's what Seattle's a nice place. I don't think people say I want to go to Seattle, but it's when they become more of a winning team, then we'll consider going to Seattle.
Lastly, Paul, do you remember in 2016 when coincidentally the Leafs also had the first overall pick, what the split was like in the crowd? Like, I know you won't be at the arena tonight, but I'm wondering, how many Leaf fans will get there?
It was insane.
Do you remember in 2016? I'm guessing there were a million of them.
Oh, absolutely, it was insane. It was like we were sitting in Toronto. So they were there. They were going. But that's the thing. I mean, people were saying, well, as far as who's going to be like the media, though, the media will all be. No, the media actually, the Toronto media will be here. Vancouver's media will be here. Canadian media will be here. But other than people from ESPN, who have the national broadcast or the NHL network, those are the media that's going to be here. There's going to be no media other than the Toronto media and the Vancouver media, really from around the league. They're doing the same thing I'm doing. I'm sitting with the team. I'm sitting with the GM. They're in their city sitting with their GM. That's where you need to be. So as far as there's going to be a lot of media here. No, it's just going to be basically the national media and the Canadian media coming down because the Canucks are at number 3 and Toronto's at number 1.
Paul Hamilton on the Wester Hotline. Thank you, Paul. Enjoy tonight, and we'll be listening.
Sounds good. Take care.
Paul Hamilton brought to you by Raylax Honda. Raylax, we got this. And coverage of the NHL Draft on WGR is brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and by Dash's Market, serving Western New York for over 100 years. Shop the family of finer foods. When we come back, if you missed the World Cup game last night, it was on late. Nick Mendola on the U.S.'s performance. What did Christian Pulisic look like as he returned from injury? And what are we going to get for USA in Bosnia, which is the matchup in the round of 32? All ahead with Nick here on WGR.
can catch up on our website with all of Paul Hamilton's pieces, WGR550.com. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. tonight. Coverage of the NHL Draft on WGR is brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Fecal Car in Joyce, your border attorneys, and by Dash's Market. Serving Western New York for over 100 years. Shop the family of finer foods. In the World Cup, the U.S. men's national team fell to Turkey 3-2 last night. Some other scores: Ecuador beat Germany 2-1. The Netherlands beat Tunisia 3-1. Japan and Sweden drew 1-1. And Paraguay and Australia drew 0-0. Around the NFL, ESPN's Adam Schefter says it's more likely than not free agent defensive end Joey Bosa has played his last NFL snap. DeAndre Hopkins said he'd love to play for a competitor at this point in his career. And Brandon Ayuk said he would sign with the Commanders tomorrow if the 49ers cut him yesterday on a social media video. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
McKenzie tries to load up the long throw. Man down for the U.S. Ball's knocked down. Fall-up shot is a goal! It's Sebastian Berhalter who ties the game, and he wants more!
Sebastian Berhalter, great goal. Right from the edge of the box, ball bouncing. If you stayed up for it, hopefully you fell asleep before the last minute of the game. The U.S. falls to Turkey A, but they're going on to the group. Game didn't mean anything for the bracket or who wins the group, but they did fall 3-2. Nick Mendola, NBC Sports Soccer, FC Buffalo, now on the Wester hotline. And I know Nick was up late watching it because he texted me at 1:42 in the morning and you were still awake.
Yes, and I was displeased by most of those facts.
Yes, right. So on that game, did it look good though? I mean, it felt like I watched the first half and then the second half is I like these extended highlight packages that YouTube puts together for it. It felt like they were getting the chances, but from your perspective, what did the effort look like overall from them?
Yeah, I mean, I think you picked the wrong half, but what were you going to do? We had time zone problems. The first half I did not appreciate in almost every way, but once the lineups came out, and I mean, we expected some rotation. We knew that the four guys who were sitting on yellow cards and wanted to avoid an accumulation suspension, we knew that they wouldn't play, but Pochettino, the coach, changed 10 of the 11 guys. So given all that, I think we've got some depth concerns. We're now in that position where we are thinking, well, let's hope that most guys don't get hurt. Let's hope that the starting 11, the preferred starting 11, and maybe two other guys are where you want to go. But, the second half, they looked excellent. They tied the score through Berhalter, and for about 35 minutes, I texted my friend this. It actually became the lead in my article at NBCSports.com, and it was there was a period of time in that game where I forgot for about a half an hour that the U.S. could lose. I was just in this spot where I was like, oh yeah, this is those games where it's like, well, maybe we'll draw, but if there's going to be a winner, it's going to be the U.S. And then basically for those who did miss it, what happened was Austin Trusty, who was playing left back and was having an excellent game, he got his ankle rolled up with about 89 in the 89th minute, and the U.S. could not use a sub. They had used up all their subs, so they had to play the last 8 minutes of stoppage time with essentially 10 and a half guys, and he was at the near post when the first cross comes in. And honestly, if he doesn't sprain his ankle, they probably get out of there with a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, he was having an excellent game before that. Were there guys that you were noticing that were in because of the situation, because of they had clinched the group, and guys that were on yellows? Anybody that you feel like from yesterday's game might have earned more consideration for playing time in the knockout round?
Yeah, I mean, I think Trusty for sure. He would have already been my pick if they were using a different center back in a game that really, really mattered. Lots of experience at Celtic in Glasgow, where he plays almost every game. I think he's an exceptional player. And Pochettino, again, he's having these moments in this tournament where he's using guys in different spots or with different tactics, and you're just realizing what a good manager he is. In fact, we already knew he wasn't going to come back to the U.S. He was going to go to club soccer, and I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the tournament he's the number one name on the club market. I liked him. Berhalter, I think, was already firmly entrenched as the guy if a midfielder goes out. So I liked him a lot. And frankly, I don't know that anyone else besides Weston McKennie was very good yesterday.
Right.
The depth just wasn't great.
And do we not have a goal? We don't have a goalkeeper controversy after last night or anything?
No, and frankly, I was hoping for it. Matt Turner had played in a World Cup, the last World Cup. He has the experience of the big games. It's nothing against Freese, who I think is fine. But for the first time, really, I mean, not counting Turner in the last tournament, the United States, our calling card, right? The thing that kept us in tournaments for 20 years was that we had a literally world-class goalkeeper. And just we haven't seen Freese really tested in big games, and every game the rest of the way is going to be the biggest game of his life. Yeah. I mean, that's true for everybody, but by far the biggest game of his life.
Right. Pulisic comes on in the second half to get, I think you had even mentioned this with us last week, like get him some minutes so that he's not going in cold after basically 3 weeks off. How did he look to you?
Electric. I mean, he looked like he hadn't missed any time. Aside from the fact that, I mean, he could have easily scored a couple of goals and, his finishing didn't work, but some of it was the keeper. And there's every reason to feel great about how he's going to look with another few days to prepare for a winnable but difficult game.
So on that game, I watched a full Bosnia game when I tried to watch Italy make the World Cup at the qualifiers not that long ago, and that did not go their way. So I have a little bit of a respect for Bosnia. I know Italy played most of that game with 10 men, but here they go through the group stage, and they're the U.S. opponent. They're a huge favorite. Like, I was almost surprised to see how big in the betting odds the U.S. is favored, like minus 450 in some places. Is it a tricky opponent? Like, is it you should win but not take them lightly, or do you feel like they should blast Bosnia?
Oh, no, I think they should. It's the first part because there is some savvy on this team. Obviously, they've beaten Italy. That was huge. They had to win 2 huge games just to get to this tournament. The U.S. are favorites. They deserve to be favorites, but that is more about how good the U.S. has looked when they've been healthy and together. Those, especially that first game. So yes, definitely favorites. Definitely should win. But we have seen much stranger things than a team as savvy as Bosnia pulling out a win. And a lot of that has to do with Bosnia's been flying across the country as well, back and forth. Their first game was in Toronto. They've played in California and Seattle. Obviously, they'll be settled on the West Coast. But, they're a very, very good defense. Their back four is very, very good, and it doesn't even have to be their top back four. And they have a couple, savvy operators, including an American-born player on the right wing. We hear a lot about the players who are not from America, who play for America, but Asmir Basharevic comes from New England Revolution. His parents were Bosnian, and he has played every game for them and looked quite good. So, I would say it's a little bit like, the Bills in a wild card game.
Okay. This is a game where you would expect the U.S. to have the ball a lot?
Yes, yeah, for sure. The U.S. really should get this done because I don't know over 90 minutes that Bosnia can keep the U.S. off the scoreboard and keep the U.S. from putting together numerous chances.
Last thing for you, Nick. The path right now, what we know about it, it's what? They would play Egypt down the road if everything goes chalk, and then Spain would be on their side of the bracket. So I feel like it ended up being pretty good, right? Like most of the heavy hitters are on the other side, but Spain is in their way, right, to get like really, really far.
It's true, but there's still a chance, and we expect that to change tomorrow. There's still a chance that Portugal is there with Spain, that it could be Portugal or Spain.
Okay.
But again, at this point, it is lining up very, very well for the United States. And again, I can't stress this enough, and I'm not trying to be a cheerleader here. Most of that path feels better because the U.S. have been, very good for 60% of this tournament.
Absolutely. What's going on with FC Buffalo coming up?
Well, thank you very much. We have a huge game tomorrow night at Coyer Field. The men will be taking on Steel City. Both teams on 20 points. They've played one further game than us, or we've played one further game than them, so need to get a big win, but we're really liking it. We have 3 players, Lavro Stancic from Slovenia, Lucas Suarez from Brazil, and Ali Alamari from Lackawanna, New York, who have combined for an absurd amount of goals this year. It's a really exciting trident, and only 2 teams in the 70-team league have scored more goals than FC Buffalo. So, even when the games are tough, we're entertaining.
All right, 75 and sunny tomorrow. Go get down to Coyer Field, check out some soccer if you're in the mood right now. Thanks, Nick, for getting up, and we'll talk next week.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Nick. Nick Mendola on the Wester Hotline. The U.S. plays Wednesday, by the way, if I didn't say that. Wednesday is the game against Bosnia at 8 o'clock. So no more of this 10 o'clock nonsense in the middle of a week. I'm very happy that game didn't matter last night, because if they played a game to win the group at 10 p.m. on a Thursday, it would have been devastating.
Oh, yeah. And the 8 o'clock's not even bad because it's over by 10.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
It's 2 hours. That's it.
Totally fine. Wednesday at 8 o'clock against Bosnia. Yeah, I'm also a giant fan of the Italian national soccer team, who has not made 3 consecutive World Cups. And that game was torture when they played Bosnia. So I've got some respect for them, some fear of them. But I have been looking at all the odds, and again, minus 450 to win. I'm gonna remove myself from being afraid of them because of that one game, and trust, okay, the U.S. is much better. The odds tell you they're much better, and they're going to get it done. They're not going to lose to Bosnia. They're going to win on Wednesday. They're going to go on a little bit of a run here, and it'll be the best World Cup ever. Because so far it's been the best World Cup, maybe not ever, best World Cup I've ever watched.
Yeah, same here.
2006 was pretty good. But again, I'm just biased because I was rooting for Italy, and they got France's best player to headbutt a guy and get kicked out of the game. Legendary. 803-0550 is the phone number. There's more news about Jason Robertson in the last couple of minutes about what he might want. He is a huge story, and Dallas has probably got to do something either today or in the next day or two. It can't go much further. So I'll tell you what's going on with Robertson when we come back. Mike Moriel coming up at 9, NHL.com, on what the Sabres should do it for if they still have the pick. That's ahead here on WGR. Time for the pick of the week. The Riverfront Auto Sale pick of the week, a 1980 Chevy Camaro cruise back to the golden era of muscle cars in a 1980 Chevy Camaro. Timeless, aggressive body style, pure American rumble, classic head turner is built for summer nights. See it today at Riverfront Auto Sales, 1379 Niagara Street, online at riverfrontautosales.com. Call 716-886-1626. Pick of the week is the draft tonight, of course, but also throw some more World Cup your way. And Norway, France today should be great. Now, I don't know how much they're playing for other than there is the group that is on the line. Norway and France both at 6 points. Norway gave up a late goal to Senegal in their last game, which was devastating for them. Because I think if they had not given up a late meaningless goal, a draw would have won them the group. And now they need to win. So, Holland and Norway against France. Holland, though, did say in a funny and weird interview after the Senegal game, they're like, they're probably going to beat us. They're probably going to win the whole thing. It's like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Oh, this guy's a lot of fun at parties. Like, we'll just resign to, yeah, France is great.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? But Holland's incredible. Norway beating France, I think, would be an awesome story. So that game would be right there with the draft. That's 3 o'clock today.
I need Norway in our World Cup pool.
Yeah, you're doing...
Got Norway, Morocco.
You're up there, 18 points.
Yeah.
Tied for second place with me and Brian Mazurowski. Brian's and Joe's. Brian Kozio, Brian Mazurowski, and then us two are at the top of this poll. Poor Bulldog down there.
I know.
I mean, to be fair, Belgium has been so disappointing. 2 points. They don't look like a team that should really threaten anybody come the knockout rounds. They're kind of aged out, I guess, at this point. De Bruyne and whatever. The other game, by the way, that means a lot today. I mean, there are a lot of these games, but Cabo Verde, which has been one of the best stories at the World Cup, they play Saudi Arabia at 8 p.m. And they need, I think, a draw. Might be wrong on this. I think a draw gets them through. Spain plays Uruguay. So if Spain beats Uruguay and Cabo Verde gets a draw, then they're definitely through because then they'd be second in the group. And I think they might have a path of getting in even if they're third in the group with a draw. So, and them advancing would be incredible for such a small nation that's ranked so low to go unbeaten, playing Spain, Uruguay, and then Saudi Arabia is their most winnable game.
Right.
When we come back, Mike Morial from NHL.com on tonight's draft. Stay tuned.
It's draft day in the NHL. The Sabres have the 4th and 20th picks in the first round. We'll see if they make the selections or trade them away. In case you missed any of the action from this week, you can catch up on our website with all of Paul Hamilton's pieces, WGR550.com. Coverage starts at 7 tonight. Coverage of the NHL draft on WGR brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Fiegel, Carr, and Joyce, your border attorneys, and by Dash's Market. Serving Western New York for over 100 years. Shop the family of finer foods. In the World Cup yesterday, the U.S. men's national team fell to Turkey 3-2. Last night, some other scores. Ecuador beat Germany 2-1. The Netherlands beat Tunisia 3-1. Japan and Sweden drew 1-1. And Paraguay and Australia drew 0-0. Looking around the NFL, ESPN's Adam Schefter says it's more likely than not free agent defensive end Joey Bosa has played his last NFL snap. And Brandon Ayuk said he would sign with the Commanders tomorrow if the 49ers cut him in a social media video yesterday. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
But the more time you can spend on it, the more angles and lenses you can consider, all the different data points and perspectives. I think you want to almost make it a bit painful to make sure that you're getting it right, and I think that's what we did. So, yeah, we spent a lot of time on it. We heard all the different perspectives and got a lot of input, and Judd Brackett, Mark Leach are ultimately the guys that are going to be responsible for that selection, and I support them.
NHL draft tonight, round number 1. We'll have coverage here in WGR, 7 o'clock. And we're all over the place. Paul will be at the War Room at One Bills Drive. Brian Koziel, Joe Cali will be on hand at the arena as we have the decentralized draft. So not everybody all in one place, which I think is a little bit unfortunate. But that's all right. We'll have fun tonight. The Sabres are a good team with a top 5 pick, and everybody seems to expect them to trade the pick, or at least try to trade the pick. But if they don't, then we've got prospects to talk about. Mike Moriel, NHL.com, joins us now on the Wester Hotline. Mike, thanks for joining us. This has just, in the last week, become a much more interesting draft around here.
It really has. Thanks for having me, Joe. It's an exciting day, of course, for a lot of these kids that are here. We got the Top Prospects Youth Clinic that's going to be going on at Harbor Center in about 45 minutes time, so we're excited about that. It gives the kids a chance, Joe, to kind of ease into things, right? You get up, you're a little nervous, you're anxious, and to have them on the ice, helping the youth here in town is going to be a nice thing. But to answer your question, I mean it's all the trades that kind of took place at the start of the week, leading up to this day. It was really a whirlwind for all of us. I mean, as fans and as media members, you love to see it. It gives you something to write about, something to contemplate, and to maybe put projections by teams where they might go. So it's a real interesting time, and we're very much looking forward to what's going to transpire this evening.
Yeah, Mike's got his mock draft up. You can find the link on his Twitter at Mike Moriel, NHL, NHL.com, of course, as well. Yeah, I think tonight, I mean, the prospects, getting to know more about them, we'll talk about them in depth. Before we get to that, though, Mike, we'll see if they even have the 4th overall pick, the Sabres. Pierre LeBrun mentioned yesterday, and others have, that teams around the league don't think they'll have the pick, or at least they're going to try not to. And there's enough big names out there that, I don't know if Jason Robertson's in play for them, but there's Hellebuck, and there is, Matthew Nyes, of course, would be another name on this list. It just feels like if they were looking to move it, there's a lot of big names this offseason, and that is not normal. I feel like this offseason more than any, you've got a ton of star players that could be on the move.
Yeah, there are a lot of players. And, the Robertson thing, I think, opened up a lot of eyes. No one really saw that. But, again, two really saw a lot of the moves that were made this week. To me, Joe, it's going to be very difficult for the Sabres to part with that number 4 pick, just for the fact that, I like the top end of this draft. And I really feel as though, after Yarmo, trades Bowen Byram, of course, and maybe he's looking for a replacement there, an immediate replacement is possible in a Chase Reed or a Keaton Verhoff. I have Verhoff going to the Sabres at number 4. And, during his time with Columbus, you got to look, historically, Yarmo, shows some very clear patterns. He consistently prioritized centers with that top line upside, and he also prioritized defensemen with mobility and offensive tools. He values players who can drive play, not just fill roles. You look at some of past picks, Pierre-Luc Dubois was a little bit of a surprise, the 3rd overall. Adam Boqvist, I know he wasn't drafted but acquired, kind of fits the profile. David Juracek, 6th overall, Big D. Ken Johnson, the center wing, high skill upside. So to me, Joe, if Buffalo picks a defenseman at 4, there's a strong chance that it's going to be Reed or Verhoff to me because both are I would think would be very high on their short list because these are players that within a year could be playing vital roles for the team. But that's the long answer. But, there's always a chance you trade the 4th, but it's going to have to be a pretty big package in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. On Verhoff, because we've really been like cram session the last couple of days on the guys that could be going around that pick, and we have talked a lot about Chase Reed. What about Verhoff for you that you like if the Sabres were to make him the pick at number 4?
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I would have had Chase Reed in this slot, in any normal or if the lineup remained the same, Joe. But, Yarmo isn't afraid to go against the consensus, as I just mentioned. And to me, Verhoff, basically is a textbook Kekalainen type defense prospect. He's a right shot, which is a premium asset, goes about 6'4", 215, has that mobility, that offensive upside. He can quarterback a power play, which is extremely important in today's game. Projects as a top pair, number 1 defenseman. Yarmo has consistently prioritized the size and skating on defense, players who can eat minutes, drive play, and Verhoff, to me, kind of fits that mold. Now, is Chase Reed maybe a better defenseman? He might be, but I just think Verhoff is that type of guy. And look, there are 5, and I'm sure you've read and heard all, throughout the month that there are maybe 5 defensemen here that could go within these top 7, 8 picks, which is nuts. But these are all top pairing guys. I just like the feel of Verhoff here, and he comes over. He comes over from Victoria in the Western Hockey League. If he stayed there, Joe, there's a good chance he would have been a 70, 80-point guy. So give him a lot of credit for going to the University of North Dakota, wanting to challenge himself there. And he did, 20 points in 36 games, the 4th most points ever by a 17-year-old NCAA defenseman. And that's behind the likes of players such as Noah Hannafin and Zach Werenski. So, I just think Verhoff kind of fits the profile. Would it surprise me if they take Chase Reed? No.
Yeah. I'm reading about Verhoff in your mock draft, how young he is, 4th youngest player in NCAA. I think you had last season.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Verhoff, Reed, you mentioned like the number of defensemen. Albert Smits, Carson Karls, Daxon Rudolph. Like, where would you put the cutoff for if the Sabres took this guy at number 4? It's defendable. Would it be all of those defensemen, or would you set a cutoff somewhere?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I like Reed. I like Carson Karls from Prince George is right up there. Obviously Verhoff. I think those 3 are the guys that, if Buffalo were to keep the pick and make that pick, I think those are really good options. Now, everyone's talking about Vancouver, right, Joe? Is Vancouver going to take the projected best center in this draft? and Caleb Malholtra from Brantford. And obviously with his dad coaching Vancouver, you're hearing a lot of thoughts from Canucks fans, and we don't want that to happen. But he is the best defenseman. The Canucks need a guy down the middle. It makes sense, but maybe they don't do it. And if he's available for Buffalo at 4, maybe it's the big centerman or the top centerman of this draft who obviously has the pedigree, and boy, what a season he had in Brantford. So that's going to be another option to consider if the Canucks pass on Caleb.
What type of center are we talking? Same with him. Like, we haven't spent a ton of time on him because, right, like, I don't know, it just feels like Vancouver needs a center and his dad's the coach. But, right, if they don't do it, what would the Sabres be getting, like, stylistically in Malhotra? I know projecting out a few years.
Yeah. So one of the smartest players in the Ontario Hockey League, Joe. Good athlete that's offensively gifted, has that strong two-way game you would anticipate and expect in a center, knows when to use the body and where to put pucks, a real good team player, is good off the ice in the locker room, real good skater, always seems to make the right play. He can score, distribute, just depends on the situation he's in. Obviously, we know about the pedigree and Manny playing over 950 NHL games with 7 teams. His uncle, Steve Nash, was a pretty decent basketball player, as we know. And look, when I look at Caleb Malholtra, I kind of see a little bit of Nico Hischier, Joe, and what he's capable of doing, both sides of the rink, and then face-offs as well. He really dominated for Brantford and was a big part of that. So Caleb Malholtra at 6'2", 185 pounds is certainly a player that's going to be in the crosshairs, on the radar of a lot of teams here in the top 5.
And Lindy Ruff has coached Nico Hischier before, right? Captain when
right.
he was there.
That's
so
right.
there'd be experience with that type of player, of course. And he is not becoming available, right? We're pretty sure of that at this point.
Yeah, I those discussions are ongoing right now. I don't have any insight as to when it might happen or when it might break, but from what I understand, the negotiations are going relatively good, and something should be done. So, look, the Devils can't afford to not tie up Nico Hischier long term. He's just too valuable for that club.
Right. Mike Moriel on the Wester Hotline. We're talking NHL Draft tonight, 7 o'clock, NHL.com. At forward, what is your opinion of Viggo Bjork? Smaller player. I feel like they're always more interesting to talk about, and the variance of them in the first round, sometimes they fall. What do you think for him? Do you feel like he is going to be the next forward drafted after Malhotra?
I do. And I think, let's face it, Joe, if Bjork were maybe 2 inches taller, we might be talking about him in the running for first overall just because of the position he plays at center. I think he's just a smaller version of Nick Suzuki. I see a lot of Suzuki characteristics in his game. But this kid, I mean, when I watched him at World Junior Championship in Minnesota in January, and I know Ivar Stenberg was outstanding for Sweden in their gold medal performance, but Viggo Bjork was the guy that really stood out for me as a first line, second line, middle six guy that was getting the job done, face-offs, just battling with players, really elite skating, creativity. And he stood out as one of Sweden's most dynamic young forwards this year in Djurgården. The acceleration and the edge work on this kid, Joe, really allow him to kind of separate instantly from defenders. His hockey IQ is off the charts, real clever puck movement, has that spatial awareness in tight spaces, really plays with confidence, has that flair, real good hands in tight. And he's really strengthened his lower body. He demonstrated a real improved balance and competitiveness on the boards. When you look at him, in the leg strength, it's kind of reminiscent of Marty St. Louis and that lower body strength that he kind of has. So that energy, the forechecking, the two-way commitment make him a real valuable all situations forward in this draft, and I would anticipate him going among the top 10 as well.
Very interesting player. Is there any other forward other than Malhotra or Bjork that you feel like is worth talking about for 4, or would they be the only 2?
Well, look, I like Malholtra, Bjork. I mean, Tynan Lawrence is an interesting player too because Lawrence, obviously at the start of the year, he was projected to be one of those players that was going to go relatively early in this draft. Then he suffered the injury and set him back a little bit when he was in the United States Hockey League. Then he came over to BU mid-season in January, in fact, scored, he scored about 7 points, I believe it was, 2 goals, 7 points in 18 games, but he really started to come on strong later in the season. Just a dynamic player. I know Jay Pandolfo was hoping to see a little more runway because he was coming up so big in the last 3 or 4 games for BU. So real good 200-foot player, kind of a complete package there. I think it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to go in that top 10 range. He's a centerman, as we were talking about. And I thought he did a real nice job, obviously, down the stretch with BU. And when he was in the United States Hockey League with Muskegon, led them to a Clark Cup championship, their first Clark Cup last year. And he won the MVP of the tournament as well. So kind of like a Sebastian Aho type of player from what scouts have told me, Joe. So you're looking at Sebastian Aho, not too shabby. And he's another player that if teams are looking for that top-tier centerman, he may be in that mix.
And then finally, what about at pick number 20? Are there a couple of names that you feel like would be around that area that makes sense for the Sabres if they stay at 20 as well?
Yeah, I do. I think the funny thing is, and I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday we were talking to a lot of the prospects. Ilya Morozov from Miami University. We asked him about the trades. What do you think of all the trades that went down? And the first thing out of his mouth was, wow. He goes, I can't believe, the Sabres were able to get that number 20 pick. They moved to number 20. And the reason why he said that was he said, I'm right in that range. He's like, maybe the Sabres are a team that are looking at me. But Morozov, really the youngest player in college hockey this season, Joe, at 17 years. Won't turn 18 until August 3rd. 20 points in 36 games, impressed with that 200-foot game, real tenacity on and off the puck, and good hockey IQ. He'd be in that range. I think J.P. Hurlburt, the kid that's going to the University of Michigan next year, he played with Cam Loops in the WHL this year, brings a compelling blend of has that skill, that speed, can impact the game in all the zones. He led WHL rookies with 97 points this year, 42 goals in 68 games. So he's going to be an interesting guy later in the first round and possibly on the Sabres' radar. And then the other one I can mention, too, is Nikita Klepov, who I spoke to yesterday, the right wing from Saginaw in the Ontario Hockey League. He's going to Michigan State next year. And if Buffalo's looking to build, top 6 scoring upside, especially this kid who can drive some offense, led all Ontario Hockey League skaters in points this season with 97 his first year. So another player, creates a lot of scoring chances, real quick, shifty, was ranked among the top 15 in Central Scouting's final North American ranks. So another player that could be on Buffalo's radar. There are several players in this range, so I think Buffalo's going to get a real nice, second pick in the first round for sure.
We'll see if they stay there. Those options sound appealing. It's Jarmo Kekalainen. It's just like there's an aggressiveness that I think everybody's expecting to come out tonight, but we'll see. I mean, trading both picks might feel like a lot. Maybe they even trade down. I know we talked about an idea earlier today where they would move down from 4 to 8 as part of like a Hellebuck trade. So I mean, it feels like anything can happen tonight. So a lot on the table.
Yeah.
Do you, by the way, as we wrap, do you like the decentralized? I feel like most people that cover the draft are more preferable to the centralized, or do you not care?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I mean, last year when we did it, I had no issues with it. Yeah. Obviously, it seemed like it was a little long, but it was very entertaining last year, and I would imagine it to be, entertaining this year as well. So we'll see how it goes, how it breaks this year. But I know, you have enough manpower to get on some Zoom calls with some of these GMs that are in their centralized locations. So to me, Joe, it didn't really matter one way or the other. I got my head down. I'm pumping. I'm typing away on the keyboard doing the podcast. So Well, I'm all good here. And for the most part, all the top players are here with their families to do interviews at the pods after they're selected. So we're able to get them as well. So that's a great thing.
Well, enjoy tonight. Everybody should check out his mock draft and all the content that they've been putting out at NHL.com. You can follow him on Twitter, Mike Moriel, NHL. Thanks, Mike, and enjoy tonight.
Thanks a lot, Joe. Have a great evening.
You as well. And, the 20th pick, as he mentioned up a couple of those names there, Morozov, who he said mentioned the Sabres. Russian player, but he's in the NCAA. So you don't have to worry about, I think, this guy's going to disappear in the KHL for 4 years, and then you'll see if he pops back up after that. Poltapov is that right now. Is a second-round pick of the Sabres from years ago that is finally going to be coming over soon. This guy, I don't think you don't have to worry about that because he's at Miami of Ohio. What do we want them to do? All of these guys up high sound interesting to me. I think I'm falling for Vigo Bjork, though. I think I'm falling for Vigo Bjork. Talked to Sebastian High, Locked On NHL Prospects yesterday. He said he's built like a fire hydrant, which is kind of what Mike just said. Lower body like Marty St. Louis, wins battles, uber competitive. I'm not worried about the size. When the guy has traits like that, I'm not worried about the size. Benson should be proof of that. Oslin should be proof of that. Helenius should be proof of that. You got these three young guys in your lineup that are smaller, but constantly win battles. Think Benson every shift he plays. Helenius is that. I know Benson got all the Brad Marchand comparisons in the playoffs, but a year ago, talked to Michael Leone, the head coach of the Amherst, and he said that Helenius in the playoffs for Rochester was playing like Marchand. So he's got that in him. And Oslin, he's not violent in that way, but think of the game he played against Boston. Was that game 3? I don't even remember. What's the game? It was game 3, wasn't it? Yeah, it was tied 1-1 in Boston. Norris went out of the lineup. Oslin came in. And he has that great pass to Byram that sets up a goal. But remember the empty net goal that Oslin scored? Where he starts out at center ice, the puck was flipped up in the air by Quinn, and he hustles to the puck, and he fights off, was it 3 Bruins, including Pasternak, right around the net, and spins around and throws it in to ice the game? And he is Benson, I feel like the way Benson is built, you can see why, he gets low to the ground, and he's tough to get off the puck. And maybe Helenius is a little bad as well. You just look at Noah Oslin, and he looks like a stick. But it's the skating and the angles. He wins battles. So if I had another guy that does all of that, I don't care that he's 5'9". So Bjork is becoming a real exciting idea for me. He did play in the men's league, Swedish Hockey League last year, and did read that while the points didn't go crazy, you look at the stats, and in 42 games in the Swedish Hockey League last year, he had 15 points. But I did read that he was on a great team. As the season went on, his minutes went way up. Top 6 minutes by the end. And he was underaged for Sweden at the World Juniors, and he was the guy on the ice that I believe took the last 5 faceoffs for Sweden in the gold medal game. So this is the guy for me. I'm falling for him a bit. I like the Chase Reed idea. I like a lot of these ideas. They still are all probably behind a trade, though, for me, if it can be a top level player. And if that's Nyes, that's that's the worst player that I'd be willing to do the trade for. If I can get Robertson, that's a dream, but not holding my breath on that. The Sabres have been connected to another star player. Dave Pagnotta from the fourth period, talking about the Red Wings getting calls about Alex DeBrincat. Oilers, Blackhawks, Maple Leafs, Devils, Kraken, Sabres are some of the teams exploring the market for him. They're just going to be connected to everybody. They are big game hunting. And I like more ideas than that. That is not the 4th overall pick, but I'm excited. Something's happening tonight. Jeremy is going to join us when we come back. He has not been on the last couple of days. He had 100 holes of golf yesterday. They did a great job. Jeremy and Nate raised a ton of money. So we'll talk with him coming up next on a lot's different. I mean, the last time he was on the air, Byram was on the team. So a lot's happened since then. So Jeremy for a couple minutes when we come back. Stay tuned for that. And then the Norton Automotive Extra Point Show is coming up at 10 o'clock. Stay tuned. Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. NHL draft tonight, round 1, 7 o'clock. Sabres still have the 4th pick as of this refresh of Twitter. But they're in on everything. There's a DeBrincat rumor now. I mean, we got a lot. Good morning. It's Jeremy and Joe. Jeremy now on he's on the Western Hotline on his own show. And the kids are in the background. Love it. They got anything to say about tonight's draft?
Very excited. Very excited to see players drafted that will make the NHL when they're ready to watch the NHL.
Yeah, in at least a couple of years. So how did 100 Holes end up ending for you yesterday? I saw the sun finally came out for you guys.
Yeah, it did. It was the 100 Holes went great, and we got lots of donations. Thanks to everybody out there that made their donations. I met my personal goal of 10,000. The group as a whole got to 200,000. Even above that, and still some numbers being tallied up, so that's good. The one thing I was joking with the afternoon show that's different about this year's 100 Holes was that during it we were talking about the Sabres. Usually, late June, there's no conversations about anything like that. Usually, it's just a conversation about, I don't know, the Bills and training camp, but it was all about who are they going to trade for, who should they pick, and refresh Twitter, what's happening. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. What did we do on the birdie count from yesterday?
It was a difficult count, mainly because
of the rain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, the course played. If it's a 6,800-yard course, everything was airborne. Everything had to be flown there. There were no rolls. There were no bounces anywhere ever, any point.
We'll talk draft in a second, but you're right back at it tonight. Celebration of Hope, Ride for Roswell.
Yes, I'll be there. We're at UB. North Campus, where the Celebration of Hope happens. It's the opening ceremony is really for the Ride for Roswell. Some of the biggest fundraisers are honored. Bulldog is riding in the Peloton this year. That's an honor that's given to people that raise enough money, and he's got Team WGR and all the people that have donated to his campaign. So he'll be riding from Roswell to the Celebration of Hope. It's a great event. Anybody who wants to come out can come out to that. And, of course, if you're in the ride tomorrow, then, you're off and running for that as well. So fundraising season, as we say, I know you guys played in the power play. I've got my family playing in the power play on Sunday. So we're keeping it busy.
Yeah, 4:30 tonight, by the way, event opens. Live music, dinner, lot of stuff. So you can check out all the details, rideforroswell.org. For tonight, what's your vibe? Do you feel like you've kind of been team hold the pick? Is there any rumor that's made you sway on that? Like, I feel like Nyes and Hellebuck are the two we're seeing the most of.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, are they going to slide from 4 to 8? Like, that seems like a decent idea to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to get like snarky about any of it, but Yarmo got a ton of credit for the trade he's already made, which is he should, of course, because the Blackhawks gave up a king's ransom for Bo Byram. But I do remember when the Bills had their draft, night 1, we were all thinking, what a move, genius. And then by night 2, everybody was mad. And then by night 3, everybody was good again. So, the whole offseason has to play out. Like right now, we're buzzing over the 4th pick. And if they end up going with a defenseman, there will be people that are upset about that. And we got to see what the rest of it all, how it all plays out. But like the Werenski rumor is juicy, that they're in on Hellebuck is juicy. My favorite thing is how Carolina just won the Cup, and Carolina is this, you don't need a goalie to win a Cup, and here's the Cup champs in on Hellebuck.
Right.
It's just kind of funny.
Right, the 3 teams being mentioned with him the most are the Sabres, and then the 2 teams who have won the last 3 Stanley Cups. It's Florida and Carolina. Right. I think that's an interesting question, is what they could do tonight where people wouldn't be happy tomorrow. Like, even that defenseman idea, like if they just sit there and take Chase Reed or whoever it is, you're right. There will be people that are not happy with that. But I don't know how much anger you'll really get from, you're going to hear what? Like, oh, maybe he's the next Cale Makar in a year if they draft a guy like that.
To that point, not to necessarily quote him, but my brother-in-law, he works for Ohio State hockey, and he's a big fan of that kid, and said, you should just draft him and start planning your parade. Like, okay, that's quite of a that's good. It's quite an endorsement. I think he's going to Michigan State is where he's going to be going. Chase Reed. Yeah. So there's of course stuff to like. If they just stick and pick 2 picks and we don't have any new NHLers, and they go to this season with the roster as it was without Byram and Tuck, that doesn't mean that they're on the wrong track. But it will. I think it'll leave a lot of people, myself included, will be hungrier for. Well, wait a minute. Where's the where's the push forward for this year that I think is worth taking. So, Yarmo's got a little bit of line to walk, but he's in on a lot of things. But as we know, in on it man is not exactly gets the deal done man. So eager to see what he ultimately closes on.
Yeah. I feel like one of the most likely outcomes might be they sit at 4 and then they end up trading 20. And it's not the monster deal that I think you're hoping for, but is it the Trocheck idea? Like it's some medium level trade that costs a first round pick, but they still make the 4th pick.
Yeah. The night before you have the 4th pick, and even now that we're in the day before, it's kind of like when you buy a lottery ticket and you start planning on all the fun things you're going to do if you win. And then, the night comes, you're like, well, actually, just regular lottery. Nothing happened. So right now is the NHL's Super Bowl of rumors, and then every year what happens? Like, oh, the Sharks picked. Oh, okay, everybody just stayed where they were. There were no picks. The fact that the top 5, there hadn't been a trade in the top 5 in 18 years. Like
that is incredible, isn't it? I mean,
right. And here we are, like maybe they'll do something, maybe not.
Right. It had been 25 years since a player had been traded for a top 5 pick. Like Yashin, I think you had to go back to for that to happen. Well, you haven't even been on since. I mean, we had you on for a few minutes yesterday while you were on the course, but since Byram was traded, and you texted in our group chat immediately after that trade happened, woof. And I didn't know if you didn't like it for Buffalo or you were saying that in reference to Chicago.
Oh, Chicago for sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I was asked to explain it in football terms. A friend of mine, somebody in my text club said, explain this to me in football terms. Like we've got a lot of Sabres fans these days that are kind of jumping in because they love the Bills and this might be their first experience with the Sabres. And I'll tell you how I explained it in football terms. You tell me if you think this is good. I said, imagine the Bills traded Greg Rousseau, and he was going to leave, and he needed to get paid, and they had one of the top 3 pass rushers on the other side, and they traded Greg Rousseau for the 4th pick. Like, to me, that's this deal. I want to say the 4th pick is about the same. It's valuable at the top of the draft, and this is a good player, but this is not a defensive end that you would think should be like your number 1. He's unquestioned. Now you're set. So to me, that was my best example trying to make it a football trade. Like you have Myles Garrett and Rousseau, and you trade Rousseau for the 4th pick.
Right. And you're betting on, or you're making the trade assuming he's going to elevate to a level he's never played at before, or in a role he's never played at before.
Right. Then they have to extend him at big money. And, like the Bills kind of did that with DJ Moore, where they trade a decent-sized asset for a guy that is going to get paid also. And anytime you trade assets and pay, this is why, like, the offer sheet idea, I love the idea, but it's so rarely done. Like, do you want to play 4 firsts and $14 million for Jason Robertson? Probably not. So, there obviously there are times to do it, but if you're Chicago, and you take Greenway, who the Sabres, they were trying to dump cap anyway,
right?
And you gave them 2 picks, and you gave them a player. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, Robertson, by the way. $15 million he's passing on from Botcherol and the Kraken. I'm not spending any time thinking about him. There was a report that the Blues tried for him too, and he said no to them. I feel like if he's saying no to Seattle or St. Louis, I feel like I probably should assume that the Sabres are being connected to everybody, and I have not seen anywhere them connected to Robertson.
Yeah, I'd be surprised about anything about Robertson. I'd just like to take the opportunity to point out that the Seattle Kraken are not being able to get anything done. I can't decide if it's because they named themselves the Kraken or because of the GM, but it's probably a combination of the two.
Right. Well, glad 100 holes you got there at the end of it, and you guys raised a lot of money. You did a great job. You and Nate together were over $20,000, right? Like.
Yeah. Some of the guys today are out playing golf again in a tournament.
That's insane. And
it is a little bit insane.
There's no way they're walking.
Yeah, I don't think they're walking. That's right. I'm a little sore. I could probably play. My golf swing muscles are sorer than my legs are, which during the 100, you don't feel it. You feel the opposite. You feel like, feet and leg fatigue. But today I feel like I could probably play a team. I'm not going to, but I probably could.
Yeah, we were the opposite because after 11-day power play, our quads were so in pain the next day that like stairs were hard. Versus I would have taken the golf muscles being sore in comparison. Yeah. Well, good luck.
One of the guys I played with, his watch made it the whole way through, and he posted, and it was 34 miles.
I saw Nate 58,000 steps is what he posted.
Yeah.
So that's insane. Well, enjoy tonight. 4:30 again is the start of the Celebration of Hope, which means you guys will be there still when the draft is happening, probably, right?
Yeah, right around the end of the draft. Hopefully, I envision I'm on stage. I'm emceeing with Melissa Holmes of Channel 2, and I envision, in the midst of the update, be like, by the way, the Sabres just traded the 4th pick.
Right.
We'll keep people posted.
We'll have fun tonight, and we'll chat.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Jeremy White, and the Sabres are on the clock tonight at number 4, 7 o'clock for the start of the draft. Yeah, 4:30, the event opens, live music and dinner. 7 p.m. for the arrival of the Peloton and the staff and all of that, and then 8 o'clock for the lighting of the torch. And as Jeremy mentioned, him and Melissa Holmes are emceeing tonight. Bulldog, one of the top fundraisers, Peloton tonight for him. He's done a great job on that. Fundraising season is going good, and tonight you can be involved with that as well. And you can get all the details, rideforroswell.org/celebration of hope for how to get there. UB, D-Lot, but you can find the map and everything on the website. Extendo Sports when we come back, and there is a Nyes update from Andy Strickland, who covers the Blues, but is very plugged in around the league. I'll give that to you when we come back, and if we see anything else rumor-wise, I mean, it is a mile a minute right now with things people are hearing, different teams. We'll talk about it when we come back on Extendo and then get you to the Extra Point Show next on WGR. Andy Strickland covers the Blues and the league for The Athletic. He tweets, the expectation is that Matthew Knies will remain a Leaf and stay in Toronto. Price tag to get him is extremely high. Chayka has made it clear to Knies they haven't engaged any talks that would have them close to trading him. I don't believe you. I don't believe they haven't been talking to like a million teams about Matthew Knies. This is what you say when you are wanting to trade a guy and you've been talking to everybody and no one's giving you yet what you want. So what do? Let me get it out there. Yeah, we're not seeing anything we like, nothing close. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and there is so much smoke with Matthew Knies. I would still bet. If I could bet right now, I would buy the dip after that report. Buy the dip that he would be getting traded tonight. I don't know. Can I bet on that in one of these prediction markets? I don't know if they have that up. Do we have any NHL draft prediction market stuff?
I mean, there's got to be. There's prediction markets for Love Island, all right? Like, there's got to be something.
Joe would know that, of course.
I would. I'm tracking it at all times.
Massive Love Island fan. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
What was the terrible reality show that I just watched recently?
I watched
Traitors.
Oh, you didn't like Traitors?
I mean, I did, but it was like such bad television.
I liked it. I'm opening up the prediction markets now.
Yeah, I'm looking. What do we got? We got to have something.
It's been a minute. They both uninstalled from my phone, so I'm going to be out on this, unfortunately.
That's good. Good.
It's a good sign, actually.
Oh yeah, here we go. Draft. Yeah, the first one posted is number 4 overall pick, and Caleb Malhotra is the favorite, plus 128.
Whoa.
Followed by Chase Reed, and then Vigo Bjork. Daxon Rudolph after that.
Malhotra is interesting, I feel like, right?
It doesn't look like that would assume that, that Vancouver would pass on him, even though he's the son.
Yeah.
The only next team ones, Dylan Larkin's next team, the Sabres are listed second. I don't get that one.
I don't either.
They've not been connected anywhere to Larkin. And then Austin Matthews' next team is also up here. And for that, the Sabres are, looks like 5th. But everyone's pretty close together on that.
Yeah, it's kind of a coin flip.
What's Bet Online? Bet Online usually has some fun prop bets for the draft. Let's see. They have
first
for
round
tonight. Yeah, here we go. First round, number 4 pick. They also have Caleb Malhotra.
Mm-hmm.
Not a player I'm thinking a ton about because I've just been assuming he'll go to Vancouver, but okay, maybe.
You could also, for the first overall pick Gavin McKenna or the field.
I'm imagining the field is a monster underdog.
Plus 3,000.
I would bet that.
Just for if it hits.
The Chayka, he'll go off the beaten path. I mean, I think he'd be really bold to not take McKenna. I don't think he'd be crazy, though. Like, every indication, this survey that all the scout analysts did the other day, Craig Button led it, TSN. Chris Peters was in it. He was on yesterday. And of the 10 that they surveyed, 5 had McKenna number 1. That's it. Like, that is not McDavid, lock seal, 10 out of 10, he's the number 1 pick. That is not even, I think Power was that at some point. Like, if half of, that's just a group of 10 people, but if only half of them are telling you he's number 1, I don't think it's nuts. But I think Shea could be opening himself up to crazy criticism if he didn't, and that's why I think he'll take McKenna. All right, enjoy the draft tonight. Exciting Monday. I expect the Sabres to be very different. We'll find out how. Stay tuned. Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show is on the way next, and I'll talk to you after the weekend here on WGR.
for more comfort.
Now's the perfect time to make yourself comfortable with a new electric heating and cooling system from Belknap.
In Western New York, summer and winter bring extreme temperature conditions. Make yourself comfortable with Mitsubishi electric heat pumps, designed to keep your home cool in the summer and warm in the winter, no matter how hot or cold it gets outside. Call Belknap today to learn more.
I'm Gary Garfalo, president of Belknap. We work on your schedule. We don't charge more for weekends and evenings. That's why we say,
Give Belknap a ring.